Hey everybody, it's me, Andy.
And it's me, Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Rivals of Ixalan set review.
Hey everybody, it's episode 129 of the Commander's Brew. And this is the Rivals of Ixalan set review.
Episode 129, I'm feeling fine.
Yeah, why are we rhyming and pretending like there's music in the background of all this?
I would attribute that to our irreverent personalities.
That's the music I was picturing in the background.
Oh, really? No, mine was very different.
Yours was like,
Mine was
house?
basically Darude Sandstorm.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, I can feel that. I can feel that coming from, yeah, you were like, but you weren't going fast enough for that.
I mean, it wasn't the same tempo.
Fair.
I was trying to match your tempo. The real jazzy Darude.
There's got to be a couple good remixes of Darude Sandstorm out there that are way slower.
Like a jazz trio, like bass, piano, guitar, just jamming that Darude.
It's not the worst.
Not the worst.
There's been worse things.
Oh my gosh.
Certainly.
I haven't looked it up yet, but it has to exist, right? It has to be out there.
Guaranteed.
People love Darude Sandstorm.
People love Darude.
I mean, I don't know if they love all of Darude's library.
That's the first time anyone's ever said that. But yes, people love Darude. Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right. Cool. Well, good start to the show here, guys. This is a big one. What are we doing today here, Sean? What's going on?
This is the Rivals of Ixalan. So normally we would do a deck. We would come up with a theme or whatever. But every time a new set comes along, we just got to go over some of the cards for it and talk about what we like about them. We're not going to talk about every card, but the ones that we think could go in some decks. And if we have a deck we want them to go in. This is a commander perspective on some key new cards. We're going to be breaking it down by the mechanics that are new. There's only one. And then some of the new legendaries and see how cool they are. And then just go over some specific cards by color. But before we get into that, let's thank our sponsors. Listen, Patreons, thank you. Thank you, everyone on Patreon. We couldn't do this without
Definitely.
you. You're the best. You're the best. Thank you, Ultimate Guard, for sleeves and boxes and making archives and making boulders. I love what you do. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
And thank you to the Wizards Tower. Let's hear an ad from them right now.
Hello, I work at the currency exchange at Ixalan. Very interesting stuff these days. So pirate doubloons are trading very high today, but dinosaur tooths are also very valuable. And if you're going on a trip under the ocean to visit the Merfolk, you're gonna need to trade it in for some jade necklaces. I work here and I'm still not 100% sure what they use as currency. I think they mostly barter. Anyway, vampires, bags of blood. That's their money. Anyway, what money do you use? Whatever it is, you could use it at the Wizards Tower. WizardTower.com. It's a great place to buy magic singles. I know I get mine there because they do free shipping anywhere in Canada or the US if you spend $15 or more. And if you use coupon code BREWYEAR, it's BREWYEAR. If the accent is confusing you. If it's Brew Year, and then you get an extra 5% off, and then you get 3% kickback on your next order. What a great deal. Anyway, I don't think they take pirate doubloons, but they take money, which is also good. I can't exchange that because no one uses it here.
Hey everybody, what a fantastic Wizards Tower ad that was. I've got a very special announcement that I wanted to make as like a separate thing in this episode, and here it is. We finally have our playmats available to the public for buying as perks on our Patreon, they're available. They're here. And if you're watching YouTube right now at youtube.com/commandersbrew, you can see the image. You can see what the playmat looks like right now on the video. Otherwise, you can just go to commandersbrew.com and also see it. Or if you'd like to purchase one of the playmats, it's at commandersbrew.bigcartel.com. You can go there, pick them up for $20 US, shipping to Canada and the US right now, and possibly Europe very shortly. So just go check it out. You can. The art is by Matt Strott, who's at Messy Comics, which is 1S on Twitter. Matt did a great job. It's a lot of jokes from the podcast, people who've been on the podcast before. Sean and myself are included in there, dressed as fun things. It's great. Yeah, check it out. We're so stoked to finally offer it to people. Again, you can get it through our Patreon too, at a certain level. You can just buy it straight out if you want to. So there it is. Commander's Brew playmats are available. Get one right now. Okay.
That is interesting. I suppose there should be a currency exchange. It's probably very difficult to do business there.
Yeah, right.
I realize most of the ads from the small businesses of Ixalan it give the implication that all of the different tribes work together a lot.
Yeah, but they kind of work together in the rivals. I know they're called rivals of Ixalan, but isn't the story that like some of them start to work together here, like to get to the city's blessing, or are they still all against each other? They probably are still against each other.
I don't know. And like, who is Kumena that bad? Like, what are the Merfolk all bad? Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I only know what happens with Jason, Vraska, and Azor. I didn't really read the part about the Merfolk or the vampires. I think Jace like works with the vampires. That's why I thought that. Anyways, who cares about the stupid lore of the set?
Some people, but not us right now.
Yeah, not us right now. Read the second. Sometimes I do though. But this is the big set review. Rivals of Ixalan. Ixalan gave us some very interesting cards for Commander. Gave us some really cool stuff. Your Growing Rights of Itlamok. It introduced dinosaurs. And as a result, a bunch of cards were oracled to become dinosaurs. We've got quite a bit less going on in this one.
It's a smaller set. It's always going to be a little bit less. But, I mean, from a Commander perspective, still some cool stuff. We only got one new mechanic, and that's called Ascend. Mm-hmm. And then when you get Ascend, you get the City's Blessing. It's very weird that they had to divide it like that. I don't know why they don't just call it. I mean, I'm sure there's a rules reason why you have to get that little emblem type of thing. But it's like an emblem. Once you hit 10 permanents, you have the City's Blessing.
Yeah.
And you can never lose it. Because it's like an emblem. It's like an emblem. It's not officially an emblem. And then just a bunch of cards get awesome. One we're going to talk about that does that is Kumena's Awakening. 2 blue. It's got Ascend. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. If you have the City's Blessing, instead, only you draw a card. Pretty good. That's 4 mana for only you get to draw an extra card every turn, which is pretty neat. And if you're in a deck that wants to play, any extra card draw stuff, I don't mind giving that to my opponents. But Ascend as a thing, I think in our format, we're going to get the City's Blessing in no time. It's not like one person has it. Y'all can share it. Like, everyone can get a City's Blessing if they all have Ascend cards.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that's important. That is, like, I guess obvious, but also, like, I was a little confused by it when it first started. It's just like the Monarchy in that there's like just one little thing where I was like, what? So the thing with Ascend is that you do need to have if you have 10 permanents, you don't just get the City's Blessing permanently in Magic whenever you're playing. You do need a card to trigger it, right?
Yes, this is true.
So
something has to check for it. Yeah,
exactly. Something has to check for it. So, for example, if you did reach 10 permanents and then you did you lost one, so you're down to 9, and then you played something that cared about Ascend, so you're still at 9 permanents. Let's say it's an instant, because otherwise it would work. Then it wouldn't care. The fact that you hit 10 before, it doesn't matter. It only cares when it happened. That's when it's looking for it. I mean, that's a rules thing. Because I was watching the Loading Ready run pre-release, and I was like, that guy's got more than 10 permanents. Why does it say City's Blessing under his name? And I was like, oh yeah, because he doesn't have anything that cares about it. So there you go. So you need Ascend to trigger that, and then you're good to go for the rest of the game, though, for anything else.
As a format, though, I feel like in Commander we get City's Blessing very easily.
It seemed very easy to get it in Limited, so I think it's going to be
Sure.
very easy to get it in Commander. Yeah. Well, think about it.
So-
you have 5 or like it's like a turn 6 mechanic basically, right? Like reach turn 6 and you pretty much have it. 6 lands, an artifact, a couple creatures. That's all you need. You're playing tokens, you'll get it, on turn 4 or something like that. So
Probably even less.
yeah, right.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think in our format it's going to be very easy to get. You'll get it early and often, I'd say.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. So, we like to start off all of these. We like to get right into the commander relevant portions. So we like to get to talking about the legendaries right away.
Legendaries.
What new commanders does this set bring us? This one I'd say is like, would you say this is like on par with the stuff we saw in Ixalan, or would you say it's a bit better?
I'd say it's a bit better.
I agree. It's like a bit, like just a bit better, like 5%
Yeah.
better.
Okay. I'm going to say 10%.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Quite a difference there. And the first bunch of legendaries we get to talk about are the legendary Primal Dinos. No, wait, they're called Elder Dinos, aren't they?
Their card type is Elder Dinosaur,
Yeah.
but they are all
Oh,
primal.
right, they're all
something.
primal something. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start talking about the first one. The white Primal Dinosaur, the legendary Elder Dinosaur, is Zetalpa Primal Dawn. 6 white, legendary Elder Dinosaur, flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, indestructible, and it's a 4/8.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a massive, huge beater. But like
Very expensive.
very expensive. 8 mana for what essentially works out to be an 8/8 because it has double strike. How good are all these keywords just piled onto one huge creature? Like,
I mean, it's an amazing combination of them because it can block forever and never die with indestructible. Also, because it's vigilance, you can attack and block with
Yeah.
it. Because it has trample, they can't ever chump it. So the double strike is relevant that it's always gonna like hit for 8. And like it's just gonna go over some chump. And the fact that it flies means it's gonna be able to block everything too. It's a fantastic card for what it is. I just think it's super expensive. They're all monocolored,
Yeah.
and this is the white one. And I don't think I would. I mean, I might use this as a commander if I was just having some fun with it, but like I see more of this as a support card in a deck that just wants a role player in this position.
yeah, to me, I see it because the deck I have that cares about this is Mael of the Anima, and it's just frustrating that this creature has power 4 instead of 5.
Oh my goodness, you're right. If they just made it an 8/8 without double strike,
Yeah, she could have had it, but I mean, that's a minor thing. Yeah,
great for Audric,
Yeah.
Audric to give all these abilities. Obviously, this is a snap include in that deck.
Yeah, that's right. New Audric loves the Tulpa. So overall, I agree with you. I think this one not a good commander because it costs 8. That's just like prohibitive as a commander, I'd say. Like, and at that point, it's like you're playing Voltron, and it's not that there's better options. There's just cheaper options that are basically as good, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's mono white too, so you're. Anyways, so whatever.
Tough.
It's obviously like a decently good card, but it's like pretty overpriced and tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Let's go into the blue one. The blue one is Nazal
Ne-
Primal Tide.
Nezahal?
5 Nezahal?
Nez-
Yeah, Nezahal.
Nazal.
5
Anyways,
5 blue, so very expensive again. Legendary Elder Dinosaur. 7/7 can't be countered. You have no maximum hand size. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, you draw a card, discard 3 cards, exile them, and put them back in. So it's just blink them. So at the beginning of the end step.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a great way to survive Wraths. So that's
a lot of stuff.
now we're talking. You got my attention, Nezahal.
Yeah, right. This is something I'm more willing to spend 7 mana on as a commander.
Yeah, like no max hand size. We love having those effects around. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card. Like,
Yeah.
no questions asked. It's just like, is that a non-creature spell? Cool. Give me a card. It's like that's amazing card draw right there.
Yep.
Can't be countered, whatever.
Can't be countered is nice, like sure.
Drawing all those cards is very likely that it makes it going to be easy for you to discard 3 to sort of slow blink this person.
This is a difficult creature to deal with.
Yep.
To say the least, right? Like, so when you get this, I mean, discarding 3 cards is not nothing. Like, that is a lot. 3 cards is a lot.
Not nothing.
So it's not like you can, like,
but if you're
keep
drawing
doing
a
it.
few per
But you
turn.
can, yeah, exactly. You can save it once, I'd say, right? Like, if someone tries to Wrath, you do that. Then someone needs some other removal to get it. So this guy needs 2 pieces of removal, basically, to get rid of him.
On 2 separate turns.
Yeah, exactly. And
each one of those removal spells will probably net you a card.
And I would even say, yeah, you're right. Exactly. So and then it's like, you did get rid of him. It's like, now we need to keep him off the table. Well, you can't even counter him. Like, someone might be like, well, at least I can counter their commander if they try to cast it again. Well, you can't even do that to this guy. So I like Nezahal a lot, actually. I think it's pretty, as a commander, I don't know, maybe, but like, definitely this is a solid card in the 99 whenever you get it out.
I mean, I've never brewed a blue Voltron commander before. This would be a candidate for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's got that magic number, the Elders. It's like they finally figured out what Elders should be.
Yeah, almost.
The next one is the black one, Tetsamok, Primal Death, 4 black. So this one's only 6. We've gotten cheaper as we go down the color wheel here. 6 mana, 6/6, legendary Elder Dinosaur with Death Touch. That's what do they call that when they give something a keyword that like is basically irrelevant? Like,
I don't know.
It's like fluff text or something they call it. Like, it's not relevant, but like a 6/6 Death Touch is basically like, you don't need Death Touch, right?
Yeah.
However, if there is a place that does care about a 6/6 having Death Touch, it's Commander, right? Like, you can chump block a 12/12 and you're fine. So anyways, it has Death Touch, and he has black, reveal Tetsamok Primal Death from your hand, put a prey counter on target creature, activate this ability only during your turn. And you can do this repeatedly, so you can mark as many, creatures as you want as you have black mana. And then when Tetsamok enters the battlefield, destroy each creature your opponents control with a prey counter on it. I saw someone streaming in the pre-release again, and they had Tetsamok was being played against them, and I think obviously in Commander it's going to pay off way more than it did in Limited, because in Limited the guy never got to 6 mana and never got to cast it, but like, it was impending doom. It was like, look out. Now the only problem is, as a Commander, this guy's never really going to be in your hand, right? No. So having this guy as your Commander really like lessens his impact.
Don't work.
It doesn't really work. I'm sure there's enough people out there who are going to take the challenge of brewing a mono black Tetsamok Primal Death Commander deck where they somehow get Tetsamok to their hand as much as possible. Good on you, man. Go for it. But I think it's like, that's a lot to do for like a simple destroy mechanic.
Yeah.
Great
as backup though. I'd run him in a mono black deck, no sweat.
Yeah, pretty good. Like, anytime you have an extra black mana, like, just use it, and then when the time is right, drop them down and kill a bunch of stuff.
It is a fascinating balance of like, how much of my mana, of my resources do I spend marking things before I cast this guy?
Yeah, because you don't want to mark a bunch of things and then someone just board wipes. Because then it's like, I mean, I guess it's fine, but like, if you're choosing to do this over something else, it's like, oh man, I could have been activating greed, or I could have been doing this or whatever, right?
It's also an interesting telegraph, because I suspect if you've marked a bunch of creatures, they'll be like, well, I mean, my only way out of this is to kill you before you get a chance to cast Tetsamok, so I guess everyone comes at you now.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think it's good though. I think he's all right. His cost isn't prohibitive. Like, it's just
I want to try.
It's definitely like just a neat version of like a, what's it called? Like a Necrotal,
Yeah.
What's the next one here?
Ooh, very exciting. Itali Primal Storm, 4 red, legendary Elder Dinosaur for a 6/6. Whenever Itali Primal Storm attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying for them. Ooh-wee. So this is this is a fun, like we had a brief chat about this earlier.
Mhm.
Mono red is really stretching their identity for like deck ideas.
Mhm.
This is a mono red commander where you're going to want to be attacking, you're going to want a lot of haste, you're going to want extra combat steps, and hopefully what you rip off of your opponent's decks are going to be like amazing creatures to back you up, maybe enchantments in colors that you don't get access to. It's really going to be cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I mean, spoiler alert. There's a green one after this, but spoiler alert. It's not that often that a mono red legendary of a cycle is the best one for commander. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's the case here. You
Yeah,
could argue
I
you
agree.
could maybe argue the blue one, but like I don't know, man. This guy is exciting. Like this is an exciting creature to build around. This exciting guy to have as your commander. 6 mana, sure, it's a little expensive, but it's not prohibitive. It's not terrible. There are other good 6 mana commanders, and the fact that it's mono red, you might be like, oh, I wish I had access to this or this or this. First of all, Atali might give you access to those things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
second, like it's kind of a fun challenge to build a deck like this around red, like you said, extra combat steps, things like that. Like, and that obviously that is in mono red. So I think Atali is really cool, really fun.
Very fun. Red doesn't get to do that
It
otherwise.
scratches a different itch that red, I guess, now has.
And it makes sense in the red color pie because it's that chaos element of it. You don't get to choose what you cast. It's like whatever's on the top. And red is not the best at manipulating other people's libraries.
And
so it's just going to be...
Yeah, and it's linked to attacking, so that like makes a ton of sense for red. Like I think they did a great job of fitting the mechanic that they have. Like the red card draw mechanic that they've come up with obviously is the one where you flip a card and you can cast it that turn, right? Otherwise it's exiled. Which is great because it's the impulsiveness of red. It's all that kind of stuff. But while giving it some card advantage, which is what it kind of needs. So, you know, Atali he takes that, amps it up a level, and in Commander, it's like perfectly like it's weird to say that it's fair to cast things for free, but it kind of is, right? Like for a mono red deck, that is kind of, you know, for what it's dealing with, for what it's going up against, it's pretty fair. Good. You know, keeps it in the game.
and then to go, why don't you take the...
the last one is Galta. It's the green Elder Dinosaur. Galta Primal Hunger, 10 green. So it costs 12 mana. It's a 12/12, but Galta Primal Hunger costs X colorless, or generic rather, less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. Trample, 12/12. Big, ugly monster. In Commander, it's really not like it's just very much going to cost 2 mana, right?
Yeah, it's going to cost you 2 mana, which is like...
Yeah, like at what point do we start to care about efficiency in Commander? Like obviously that's not our number one concern. Like it's like, oh, what, a 2 mana like 4/4, like that's not good enough to play in Commander, right? Like it's a crazy card in Limited and maybe even in Standard and stuff like that. A 2 mana 5/5, it's like, yeah, that's pretty good, I guess, but like who cares? A 2 mana 12/12, that's pretty good. It does have trample.
It does have trample. It's
pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like if I feel like in a red green deck with just a bunch of people who hit real hard, I think this is going to be fine. You know, if you got anything like Warstorm Surge, yes, please.
But like you're never running this guy as a commander, right?
I would.
You could, in that it also lessens the commander tax, right?
That's true. Like it's going to be really, you know what? That's a good point. It'll be really tough for your opponents to deal with this 12/12 trample over and over because you could probably power this guy out very quickly.
I think you can power this guy out very quickly. Yeah, just because
like turn 3 or 4.
If you're just going mono green, like, you know, big stuff with lots of ramp and stuff like that. So you've got the ramp to back you up. Then that's casting pretty big creatures, which is making Galta cost even less. Like everything's doubly making Galta cost less for you, essentially.
Yeah, Gyre Sage, which is getting bigger as you cast things ramping you more.
If this guy's your commander, you only need to hit twice, and it has trample.
That's true.
That's something. That really is something.
That's something.
As much as we're kind of used to ignoring, you know, just big stompy legendary creatures, like who cares? You know, it's not a fun and interesting commander. It's like, this is mean. Like this is a big mean commander. I don't know. I don't think we can ignore it
Yeah.
And I kind of want to,
Well, challenge
right?
accepted.
Like, yeah, Galta, interesting. If you just want to build,
Okay.
like, I don't know, like, I almost want to like try and build a competitive deck for that, and I never want to build competitive commander decks. So, anyways,
Yeah. All right. Let's.
Anyway, those are the
that's
elders.
the cycle of
Yeah.
dinosaurs.
the other dinosaurs.
We got a bunch of multicolored legendaries. Let's go through them. First one up is Azor the Lawbringer. 2 white, white, blue, blue. Legendary creature Sphinx. Flying 6/6. I believe this is the Sphinx that started the Azores Guild.
is.
And anyway, what's he doing on Ixalan? Not for this podcast necessarily, but when Azor the Lawbringer enters the battlefield, each opponent can't cast instant or sorcery spells during that player's next turn. So basically, you shut down their turn from instants and sorceries, their next turn.
Yeah, which we've talked about is like stopping them from doing instants on their turn isn't really anything, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sorceries could be something like in Commander, right? It's like you know, if someone was gearing up to play that big, what's it called? What's the one that lets you vote for extra turns and taking stuff?
Oh,
expropriate? Like that just stops
Yeah.
that player's expropriate. I mean, that's Magical Christmas Land. That's best case scenario.
Yeah, they don't get to wrath at sorcery
Yeah.
speed if that's what they want to do. And if you can blink Azor, then you basically shut everyone off of sorceries the rest of the game.
true.
If you Deadeye Navigator this guy. Not only that, though, Azor has a bonus ability. Whenever Azor attacks, you may pay X white, blue, blue, which I'd have to look it up, but I believe that's exactly Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah, it is.
If you do, you gain X life and draw X cards. It is on attack. You don't get to do it at instant speed at the end of the last player's last turn, which is like, that would be too good if you could just Sphinx's Rev anytime you want. So you do have to put Azor at risk. You do have to spend a lot of your mana on that turn, so you don't get to like hold up all kinds of mana for it and threaten a bunch of effects if you want to tap out for this. But still, I mean, even as a one-shot, it's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll go down to everything but 2 blue for my counterspell. And I'll just draw like 10 cards, gain 10 life, and just like be like, yep, I know you can't cast instants and sorceries on your turn, maybe, so I'm not too afraid of wrath.
Yeah, like that is kind of the yeah, I mean
that's what makes it fair.
Yeah, exactly. That is what makes it fair. It's only when it attacks you can do it, so you don't get to. It takes away some of the utility of having Sphinx's Revelation, but at the same time, if you could just do it at any time, like if you just always have a Sphinx's Revelation, like that's I don't know, that's pretty good, man. That's a little too good. So the fact that it's limited, the timing's limited on it, I think is more than fair. I think it's good. But
You think this guy's a decent commander?
I do. I like him.
Yeah.
I think Azor is a really cool commander.
I don't see myself building around the preventing opponents casting instants or sorceries. I think that's just a bonus. The Sphinx's Revelation, again, is just a nice bonus. There's nothing specifically about Azor that I want to build around. He's just a solid blue-white commander that flies and is a 6/6 and has built-in card draw. Very good.
I think I want to put him in my Afara Blink / Control Counterspell deck.
Yeah,
right?
As a non-commander, I think Azor is very at home in a lot of 99s.
Yeah, a lot of Blink. Like you said, he just stops board wraths forever, unless it's like
if
route
you keep blinking him, sure,
or stuff like that. But yeah, totally. Yep. Very at home in Rune too, probably, right?
Well, maybe.
Okay, the next one we have here is Alenda, the Dusk Rose. She's 2 white black for legendary vampire knight. She's a 1/1. With lifelink, so a 1/1. That's interesting. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Alenda the Dusk Rose. Okay, there you go. And when Alenda dies, you create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is Alenda's power. So very interesting here. So obviously you know your creatures are dying all over the place. It's not just your creatures dies; it's any other creature.
And not non-token.
That's a very good point. Also, tokens, anything dies, she's getting counters. So it's very easy to make Alenda very big, especially if we're talking about those vampire token decks that are going around these days.
Edgar Markov,
right? But so she's really good. Like with a sack outlet, she can be really, really strong. And then you got this extra like clause here of when Alenda dies, you create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink. So let's say you've got 10 tokens and you've got Alenda, and someone plays a board wrath, that just kills everything. You don't get anything, right? Well, you get the 1 from her 1 power.
You get 1. If you
It's not
need
like-
a sack outlet to capitalize.
Exactly, because she needs to be there when the trigger resolves to put the stuff on her. So that doesn't work. But like Sean said, if you have a sack outlet, you can sack all those tokens in response, put 10 counters on Alenda, and then and then the board wipe resolves, and then you get 11 tokens again. So she's this really neat form of like wrath protection for your 1/1s in a vampire deck. Slash just getting value out of getting board wipe, basically, right?
Yeah.
So very interesting. It's kind of cool. I think I think she could helm a white-black vampire deck pretty easily. I don't know if there's enough there for that. I guess there's it's just that there's not enough in white, maybe. But the Ixalan sets have given us a lot.
I also think that even if you're not necessarily vampire or tribal with Alenda, I think if you focus on some tokens, Alenda does represent the threat of just like, you have to block her if I have a sack outlet, because if you don't block, I can add enough +1/+1 counters at instant speed by sacking, irrelevant creatures or tokens. That's like, I could just one-shot you 21.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You get anything that like when stuff dies, it creates tokens. You know, like then you're sacking 2 creatures every time.
Little Pawn of Ulamog.
Yeah, right. So like, I think there's some really neat combo-y style decks almost with Alenda.
Yeah,
that could be created.
She's got lifelink too.
Got
so
lifelink,
like,
yeah, I like it, man. I like it whether you're going with vampires, whether you throw her in the 99 of like an Edgar Markov, or just this other sort of tokeny like combo style thing where it's like half token, half like Voltron kind of. I like it. I love when they mash things up like that. Like you can go either way.
Yeah.
So I like Alenda actually. I kind of didn't though when I first started looking at her, like when she was spoiled. I was like, big deal. And then the more I talked about it, I was like, oh, actually this is pretty good.
There are certain color combinations that we have been spoiled for.
Yeah.
I feel like black-white commanders, we have been spoiled with some of those, so it's like so hard for one to come out where where I even care about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Upon second like inspection, I think she actually is like, oh, this is quite good actually.
Nice.
Or at least different. What's next?
Kumena, Tyrant of Orazka. 1 and Simic. So 1 green-blue for a 2/4 legendary Merfolk Shaman. This is your Merfolk Lord here. If you want to build a Merfolk deck, now we've got an amazing commander that is also green. We had a lot of good mono-blue Merfolk leaders. And we had there are Merfolks that are Simic that don't care about Merfolks, but this one definitely does. Tap another untapped Merfolk you control. This guy can't be blocked. Tap 3 untapped Merfolk you control. Draw a card. Tap 5. Put a +1/+1 counter on each Merfolk you control. We've seen this effect before on other cards that make you tap wizards and such. This effect looks past Summoning Sickness. You can do this the turn they come in because that is not the ability of the creature itself. That's Kumena forcing them to tap. So card draw. It's got built-in card draw. It makes your team bigger. It can make itself unblockable if you want to go Voltron that way. It's not bad.
It's not bad. I don't know what this deck looks like. I guess it's a lot of small. I guess it's actually kind of a classic Simic-y deck in that like it's a lot of small creatures that have evasion. They get in and you get bonuses as a result. From stuff like Biden of Thassa and Edric and all that sort of stuff, right? A lot of card draw. You can even beef them up a little bit if you wanted. I guess there's probably a couple ways to do that, but it's probably a slightly different deck than whatever the original Merfolk deck was in Commander, which I think was probably more like blue-white, right?
Was there a white Merfolk?
Yeah, there's white Merfolk in like Lorwyn and stuff.
Weird. Sig.
Sig, yeah, exactly. So they're probably somewhat similar, but yeah, I think this is your Merfolk Commander here.
I think so.
Yeah. And I think it's
not
good.
My style personally.
I think it's quite good. Like those 3 abilities are pretty solid.
Yeah.
Right? Tap 3 to just draw a card. You can keep doing that if you have 6 Merfolk. That's 2 cards. Just wait until you're ready to swing in.
But it does ask you, right? But then, like, the question is, like, but if you got 6 Merfolk, is it better to tap 5 and put a +1/+1 on all of them? That's
Yeah.
like 6 extra
May
power,
well be.
right? So then you're not drawing
Depends on
cards.
what's in your hand, right? Like if do you have stuff in your
Yeah.
hand, do you have gas or not? I like that though. I think that's the flexibility there. Like
That's true. That's true.
and you can make a fair amount of creatures not be able to block, so you can get in, like if you have something like a Biden Athasa, like get in and draw those cards. Like I don't know.
Well, only Kumena can make Kumena not be blocked.
Oh,
right?
sorry.
Kumena
Yeah.
can't help
oh,
the
I
rest
thought
of
it
the
was like
team.
target. Sorry, I thought it was just target creature can't block. But you're right. It's
No.
Kumena can't be blocked. Right. Well, whatever. That's all right. You that gives it.
Simic has no trouble making creatures with
Unblockable.
+1/+1
Yeah.
counters not be able to
Exactly.
like Simic has no problem getting
It's
through.
true. It's very true. I like Kumena though. I think this is fine. I think it gives you a little bit of options when it comes to like deck building. You can go wide. You can go tall. You can do both. I like that.
I'm glad Kumena's out there. I won't be brewing around him, but yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. And finally, the biggest and baddest for last, Zakama, Primal Calamity. We talked about
Whoa.
elder dinosaurs. This one's real elder. 6 red, green, white, so 9 mana for Zakama. It's a legendary elder dinosaur. It's a 9/9. It has vigilance, reach, and trample. Huge. It has 3 heads. That's why it has 3 different things. When Zakama Primal Calamity enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. So once you hit 9 mana, he's free, basically.
Kind
Right?
of,
He's kind of
right?
just free.
Because they were thinking about Commander because it does not say cast from your hand as this usually appears.
Right.
Usually they say if you cast it from your hand. This way we get to cast it from our command zone or from our graveyard in theory.
Or from exile. Sometimes it says cast things
Sure.
from exile, right? Yeah.
So we're going to get that trigger no matter what.
Yes. So that's cool. That's neat. And then it has 3 abilities. It has 2 in a red. Zakama deals 3 damage to target creature. Okay. 2 in a green.
Yep.
Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Not bad. And then 2 in a white. Gain 3 life. So, okay. I like the artifact and enchantment one the best.
Oh my gosh. If that was the only thing on it, like I would love a creature that just had an activated ability to destroy target artifact or enchantment. That is so huge in our format.
Yeah, it really is. 3 damage to target creature is not nothing either. Like that can easily take out some like very key utility creatures.
I mean, and let's face it, you've untapped 9 lands.
Yeah.
At least. So if you need to do this twice to a 6/6, no problem.
Not a big deal. And then you gain 3 life is probably the one you're going to use the least, but like it's when you need to gain life, you have the option to. So
Yeah.
that's not the worst, really. Like if you ever are just sitting around, there's no artifacts or enchantments, there's nothing you can kill with 3 damage. It's like might as well spend the 2 in a white and gain 3 life, I guess.
Now, what do you see yourself giving Gishath as their retirement gift as Dinosaur Commander?
So you think this is better than Gishath?
I think this is going to be better than Gishath. I think.
I mean, I think you've got a point. Gishath, of course, is the 8 mana 7/6 with trample, vigilance, and haste. That when it hits, you like reveal 7, right? For however much
You reveal
it
as
hit.
many.
Yeah, and then you get to put all the dinosaurs onto the battlefield.
Yeah.
So Gishath is a crazy good commander because it brings you back from board wipes and stuff. Like if you cast him, he has haste, so he gets in right away, and then can repopulate your board very, very quickly. So I think that's really good. Zakama, you have to you get him out, and then it refills your mana, and then you have a massive 9/9, just beast. It doesn't have haste though.
No, but you can do whatever.
I
with
think I kind of like Gishath more.
Okay.
I like Gishath more because of that ability to when you're behind, as long as he hits for some amount, you can usually get another creature or 2 off of him. It's not free though.
I mean,
he's not
be it.
essentially free though.
It's not.
It's tough. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing overall with Rivals of Ixalan. I think the Dinosaur Tribal Commander deck is very real.
Yeah.
I really do think that,
Yeah.
and I think you don't even need to. I think now with these new dinosaurs, you don't even need to look back at the ones they oracled. There's one or two, maybe even three that you might grab from the list of whatever it was, 12 or something. But you can now, and I think it's actually not bad.
Oh, for sure. I did a Scryfall search for dinosaurs. I didn't. There's like the blue and the black elder one, and I think there's another black one from the historical one that they oracled. But so minus like a handful, we have like 85 dinosaurs now.
Yeah, there's a lot, and like enrage, there's a good enough number of enraged creatures that if I built a dinosaur tribal commander deck, I would make enrage a main theme in it.
Yeah, I think we're getting there with
Yeah,
enrage.
which I love it. I'm in. Great.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So yeah, Zakama.
That's it for the
obvious
commanders.
Commander, pretty solid.
That's it for the commanders that we get the new legendary creatures. I think they're great.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of. They give us a nice set of them. There's no like real duds in there.
Yeah, like maybe the white or the green, like.
Yeah,
maybe?
I guess some of the primals,
maybe, but they're not. I wouldn't even call them duds. Really, they're just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm always more lenient on monocolor legendaries because it's so hard to like really give us new inspiration with those.
Yeah, good call.
But yeah, I'm mostly thinking of the multicolor ones. They're all decent.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay, cool. So one thing, I don't know if you want to do all of these. So all of those transform cards, there's cards that transform into lands, and the lands have this set. They're expanding a little bit. I think the last set is when they figured out like, oh, we're not going to do the what's it called, expeditions or like those masterpieces. Yeah. So clearly like to throw back the growing rights is like Gaia's Cradle, and the I think we would have gotten Gaia's Cradle as a masterpiece otherwise, but then they're just like, well, let's make it this special new card, and they've done a lot of that. I mean, some of them are no longer super cards, but they are all, there's a lot of neat stuff in them. So in the colorless realm, we've got Azores Gateway. It's 2 generic for an artifact, 1 tap, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand. So exile loot. And if cards with 5 or more different converted mana costs are exiled with Azores Gateway, you gain 5 life, untap it, and transform it. So you're going to have to activate this ability minimum 5 times. And you have to be pretty careful to like what you exile to make sure you have 5 different converted mana costs. I mean, you do 1 land, there's your 0. You do like a dumb instant that you don't need right now, there's your 2 or your 3. But I can see a case when you've got 4 cards exiled with this and be like, oh boy, I don't have an option really that I'm comfortable exiling that is a new converted mana cost. So it could be very tricky to transform. However, if you do, it becomes Sanctum of the Sun. Tap. Add X mana in any one color to your mana pool where X is your life total. So like, I don't think there is a card in Magic that by itself produces more mana than this.
I mean, there's one.
I mean, there are infinite combos.
No, I mean, like there's ones that's like tap for as many artifacts as you have, tap for creatures. So we're talking about Gaia's Cradle. So like that could technically could, but like out of the gate, you're right. Like just start the game, have this land in play. Is there anything else that makes 20 life / in commander 40 life or 40 mana?
Yeah, I mean, very hard to transform though.
Difficult to transform, yeah.
But once you do,
and you don't get those cards back. Like the ones you exile are simply gone. Now, mind you, it's like you said, it's looting, so it's not like you're just simply exiling cards from your hand. Like you're drawing and exiling, so they're replacing themselves here. But yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
One thing I like about it is that it's all under your control. Like, I can't remember the name of it. It's the dagger one, I think. Dowsing Dagger. Is that the one that turns into Gilded Lotus?
I forget.
Anyways, the one that turns into Gilded Lotus is like it's an equipment. An opponent gets to make 2 plants, and then you have to hit with it. So it's like there's like if the board state's not good for you, if you draw that late game, like, okay, well, I guess this is nothing, At least this, even if you do draw it late game, first of all, is a loot, which is pretty decent. It's all right. Can draw you into something good. And then if you get it at the right time, or you get it where you can start to exile things, thinking of the flipping in mind, then you can flip it, and then it's crazy. So like late game, how good is this? Probably still pretty good. I think it's going to be way harder to flip.
Yeah, I mean, if you consider it as a decent loot engine in any color, so like mono red would love this. Red has a hard time doing that. Like even if you don't ever get to flip it, like, I'm probably putting this in Neheb.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
Like even if I just get the loot, like red wants that loot, and if I get to flip it, cool.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, very, very cool. Imagine like when you get this as the land, it's just a couple things that untap it. It's like, what? What?
Oh boy. Like this is almost like you could potentially have. We played a game the other day. Alistair brought his Edgar Markov, and he was up to 130 something life at one point. And me and Butler were like, okay, well, the only way to kill this guy is with commander damage. So who's got the best commander for that? Okay, it's gonna be you. Let's just work on this. But like, at what point is this essentially the same as infinite mana for all intents and purposes?
Well, yeah, right. I mean, it depends on the game state. Like you draw this later when you're at 5 life and you're about to die. The thing I was gonna say though is that it's still pretty good if you can flip it.
Yeah.
Or let's say you have it out and you haven't been able to flip it until that point. Like it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Tapping a land for 5 mana, 3 mana, even tapping a land for 3 mana is a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like flipping into a Gaia's Cradle, but you don't need the creatures.
Yeah.
It's better. They made it better. It's better than Gaia's Cradle. Like
it's just so hard to flip. It's so hard to flip.
Yeah. And I am strictly talking about the land side of it. But yeah, it is. Yeah, don't underestimate how difficult this might be to flip, because
I feel like
you really do need to have the curve for it, right? Like if you don't have enough of the different mana costs, you're in trouble.
I feel like I want the way to really take advantage of this is to include a ton of untappers. So A, you can untap this and activate it a couple times per turn, and B, once you have it flipped, you can untap the land itself and just go anete.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But I like this card in general. I think it's probably worth throwing in and at least seeing how it does. I think it'd probably be all right.
Yeah.
Early game, it's fantastic. Get this guy down on turn 2. I think you're having a pretty good time.
Which other ones of these do you want to talk about?
I like, actually, Golden Guardian, we don't spend a ton of time on, but I actually do like what it turns into. So Golden Guardian's the 4 mana 4/4 with Defender. You pay 2 and you make it fight something else, and then if it dies, you return it transformed.
Now it has to fight one of your own things.
No. Fights another target creature you control.
And it has to die on that activation. It can't just die randomly for this to work. So one way to look at this is like, it's kind of like a bad sack outlet, right? If you care about sacrificing creatures, like, okay, I can spend 2 and probably sack a different creature and transform this at the same time.
That is so crazy. I don't think... So I was watching Lord Tupperware, one of the hosts of Lords of Limited stream, and he had this card against him, and he was assuming it could fight his creatures.
Oh,
and so he was making all these plays playing around that, but that's not the case. Oh, no. So I was confused about that too. So you have to fight your own thing. Okay, so that's less good. Yeah,
but from a sack point of view, it's not that.
No,
bad.
It's not that bad. Yeah. Well, so then you tap it. You can add 2 mana of any one color. So that's again decent, right? Like that's pretty solid. Or you can pay 4 and tap it and create a 4/4 colorless golem artifact creature token. I think artifact decks are gonna like be into this card. I think Duretti might be into this card. Just the fact that like you activate this, and then if you can just, like Sean said, like, you just sacrifice it, you can get it to flip. It doesn't need to actually die from the fight, right? It can die from something else, as long as you've activated that ability, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, because it just says then when it dies this turn. It doesn't say like dies because of this.
Well, but that's part of that activated ability.
Well, yeah. So you go 2. Golden Guardian fights another creature. When it dies this turn,
return it. So you can
Yes,
you
that's
can
right,
make a
that's
fight a
right.
1/1, and then you can attack with it. And if your opponent blocks and kills it, then it comes back transformed. So you can also again have it fight a 1/1, and then sacrifice it, and then go right.
Yeah.
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 So I think it's nice. I think it's good. Like it's not gonna swing the game in your favor necessarily, but I think it's actually gonna be a decent card in some decks. So, what else would you like to do?
So I want to talk about Journey to Eternity.
Okay.
That's the black
Yes.
green one. It's legendary enchantment, 1 black green. So it goes on a creature you control. And enchantments, they're always a little bit risky. What if they kill the creature at instant speed? Anyway, but you enchant someone. Whenever enchanted creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control, then return this transformed. So if you have a sack outlet, you just cast it on something with the intent to flip it right away, or just in case someone tries to exile it. And then it turns into Atzal, Cave of Eternity. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Not bad. 3 black green, tap, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Straight reanimator, unlimited. You just got to tap and pay 5. Repeatable. So good.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, not much else to say. This is just pretty solid. That black green sacrifice deck, whether it's Marin or Carador, which is black green white, of course. This is a solid card. I think this is a pretty easy include in there. Here's a question I was just thinking to myself is like, do you count this as a land when you're putting it in? Now, I know you can't just count it as a land and forget about it forever, but like I put this card in, I'm pretty much like I'm going to be able to cast it. I'm going to be I'm going to be able to put it on a creature. Like let's say that those things are pretty safe to assume you're going to be able to do in Commander. In those decks, it's also probably pretty safe to say you can sacrifice it, although not always. So like how, but then it becomes a land once you get the things you want out of it. So like, is it like half a land?
I prefer to think of it in like my full mana package, right? So in that I have my lands, but I also count my mana dorks and I also count my mana rocks. I would like count this in the family of mana dorks / mana rocks because it's like an extra card that could generate mana for me, but it isn't a land per se at the beginning.
So you're looking at it more of a source.
I think
Right.
so. So if I want 38 lands and a few mana dorks, I might cut a mana dork for this if I cared to. Like I also think it could be just worth adding and not even counting it in that math. Just be like, it's a good card.
Yeah.
It's one of my cards.
And yeah, I think that's the better way to look at it because it's not guaranteed to make you mana. At least a mana dork, if you can cast it, it can make mana. Journey to Eternity, if you can cast it, well, you need to have a creature, and you need to have that creature die. So, like, it's going to be easier to do that stuff in Commander than it is in the other formats, but, like, it's still stuff you have to do. It's still setup costs.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then, like, the thing is, like, oh, I didn't count it as a land, but now I have this extra land. Well, that's bonus. But also, it's a spell on a land, so, like, I think don't treat it as a land. I think treat it as a spell.
I think so, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Any of those flips catch your eye?
Profane Precession is kind of interesting. It's the 1 white-black one. You pay 3 white-black. It's a legendary enchantment. You pay 3 white-black. You exile target creature. Then if there are 3 or more cards exiled with Profane Precession, transform it. So this will trigger when there are 3. You can instant speed do it again to like add more if you have the mana for it, but it does happen when there's 3, right?
Yeah.
And then it switches into Tomb of the Dusk Rose, which is a legendary land. Tap to add 1 mana of any color, and then pay 2 white-black and tap it. Put a creature card exiled with this permanent onto the battlefield under your control. So it deals with threats for 5 mana, and then you get those threats later for 4 mana.
I mean, it's very interesting, right? Like it does eventually run out of steam. But I guess the question we want to ask ourselves is a 3 mana enchantment worth it to have a 5 mana ability to just exile any creature we want at instant speed? And it's like, I mean, it's expensive, but that is nothing to shake a stick at.
No, it is not. And I think, and like once you get the second creature under, if you can leave up that 5 mana and someone's like, well, I'll just destroy it. It's like, well, then in response, you can activate it and flip it into the land, and then it's very hard to get rid of.
Yeah, I think you have to assume you're never expecting on transforming it. Like I think you have to assume that's not part of your game plan. You're just like, I'm just here to deal with threats that I hate right now. And if you end up transforming it, cool. Here we go.
I'm gonna be very disappointed if I don't transform this thing.
Yeah.
If I cast
So then
it,
maybe that's an argument against it because
I
I
do,
honestly
yeah.
don't like that's 15 mana plus
Yeah.
the 3 you've spent. Like that's a ton.
I agree. I do think it is the downside. Is that like I'm gonna be upset if I don't flip it. So I think that's a bit of a downside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
I think the card's good though. Like I think it's fine, but it might not be as good as it looks.
Yeah, I think I've talked myself out of it.
You know what I did want to mention also? Storm the Vault. I actually think Storm the Vault's really good.
Okay, let's talk
2
about it.
blue, red, legendary enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a colorless treasure artifact token. So whenever you hit, you get a treasure. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 5 or more artifacts, you just transform it. So red, blue. If they ever make the red, blue artifact commander, this is an auto.
If you don't count Brea.
Yeah, exactly. The only one right now is Brea. And then it flips into Vault of Catlacan, which is the add legendary land, add 1 mana of any color, and then tap, add blue to your mana pool for each artifact you control. So it becomes, what's it?
Tolarian Academy?
Is it Tolarian Academy? Yeah.
Something about Tolarian.
So I think it is Tolarian Academy. So all-time crazy busted land. Put this in Brea. I think it's incredible, right?
Yeah. I mean,
it does the work for you too. It helps you fix your mana once you've already fixed it to blue-red, obviously.
So you get 1 treasure every combat.
Yeah.
So it on its own, it take you 5 combat steps to put together your 5 artifacts. But we're going to assume you have other ways to get artifacts.
I think it's safe to say that that's not really the game plan. Safe to say.
You may never even need it to get treasure. You could just cast this on your main phase and then go to your end step, transform it right away.
I do think that this is a safer one to just think of as a land, just because it's like in my Brea deck, she alone represents 3 artifacts, right? In anyone's Brea deck.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty safe to be like, drop this down. On my end step, it's going to flip into Tolarian Academy and just make so much mana.
Yeah.
So this one's going, I mean, this will probably be pretty expensive. Let's see, how much is it? Oh, it's only $250.
It is $250. Not till people break it.
Well, I mean, listen, I think for Commander players, I think this is a bit of a steal at $250 for those decks anyways. But again, they don't have the blue-red Commander that really wants this, but maybe they will make it eventually. There are some other ones, they're okay. They're not amazing. There's Hadana's Climb. I'm not in love with this one. It just like,
I think the other ones are not good enough for Commander.
I think there are decks that will play them, but they're not amazing.
Sure.
I agree with essentially what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to raise the bar a little bit, and because you could make an argument, but as we said before, every card has a deck that it wants to be in. It's just a matter of finding that deck. But yeah, on average, we're talking about the ones that are impressive or whatever. So that's all the fancy schmancy cards, the commanders and these transforming ones. We're just gonna go into some colors here and just break it down by color. Colorless, because those go on everything, and then we're just go down the color order. We're gonna go a little bit quicker, a bit speedier for these, because unless they're super interesting. I'd like to start with Awakened Amalgam.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That is a 4 generic artifact creature golem. Power and toughness each equal to the number of differently named lands you control. If you like big dumb idiots,
I thought this was for sure a skip. I didn't think we would even talk about this card.
Oh,
because
that's good enough.
We talked about this, right? Before, I think it was in a stream where we were looking at the cards. This guy's just a big vanilla creature.
Yeah. Most of our lands are differently named anyway, so in our format, it's the best. But I doubt you'd want this kind of thing unless you're just all about cheap big things.
Where's the Immortal Sun? This is the one I want to talk about the most.
This is very
legendary artifact, 6 mana. The Immortal Sun. Players can't activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities. Guess what? If you're a budget player, you don't care. That's great. That doesn't
Yeah.
The one downside of this card is that sometimes that can affect you. But if you're playing on budget, you probably don't have very many planeswalkers in your deck, so great. And it has 3 other abilities. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. There you go, Staff and In. It's already better. Spells you cast cost 1 generic less to cast. Spells. Done.
All spells.
And creatures you control get +1/+1. So it's an Anthem, it's a mana reducer, it's draw, and it hoses planeswalkers. Like, yes, I'll take it in every deck. Maybe not in every deck, but I think this card's really good.
I think so too. It's like I've run Staff of Nin before because I've wanted an extra card per turn, and I was in colors that can't do that. This is a straight upgrade.
Yeah.
Like I can make arguments for different decks that want this card for its different abilities.
Yeah, totally. Just the spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and creatures you control get +1/+1. That is kind of good enough to include. Maybe not at 6 mana, but maybe it is actually. Like, it's very good.
Yeah,
it's really, really good.
I love it.
Like, anyways, yeah, love Immortal Sun. I think this is going to be a Commander staple, essentially.
It's starting pretty high. It's starting almost $10.
Yeah, right. And like
$750.
Yeah, this is a good card, man. This does a lot of work. What's next?
That's it for colorless.
I mean, there's the land that lets you, if you have the City's Blessing, tap and draw cards, which is I think is good if you can afford the colorless land. But
yeah, not a bad mana sink. So we've got a cycle of 4 runners. We're going to touch on them in the white set here, except there's no blue. There's no blue
one.
It's
yeah,
weird.
It's a bummer.
And they all do something similar. When they enter the battlefield, you can search your library for a card of their type, of their tribe type, put it on top of your library, and then when another one of that tribal type enters the battlefield, something happens, right? So the Legion is the white one. And that lets you look for a vampire. It's a 2/2 for 3. And then when another vampire enters the battlefield, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Mostly you're just going to run these because you want that tribe and you want to just tutor up a thing, right? That's going to be the most of it, right? Forerunner of the Heralds, 3 and a green for a 3/2 Merfolk. Look for a Merfolk. Other Merfolks come in. This guy gets bigger by +1/+1.
And it's a counter.
A counter, yeah. Right. Empire is red, 3 and a red for a 1/3 soldier. Look for a dinosaur. Whenever a dinosaur enters, you can have this creature deal 1 damage to each creature. I mean, in the dinosaur deck, that's enraged, so that's going to be pretty awesome.
and then that's it. Yeah, right.
Those are the interesting ones. There's a pirate one.
Oh, there's a pirate one. We do the pirate one, might as well.
Sure. Coalition, 2 and a black for a 2/2. When pirates enter, each opponent loses 1 life. I mean, that's significant.
That one has the best secondary ability, I think.
I think so too.
Right? Like, I think in Commander, the Forerunner of the Coalition, the black one for pirates, that's the best thing for commanders. Hitting everybody for, even if just for 1, but like doing it every time a pirate comes in, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And depending on your enrage count, I think the Heralds one, the Dinosaur one can be pretty good too. But yeah, I think these are going to be obviously staples in these tribal decks. This set has a lot of that. The set has a lot of stuff where it's like, this is a great card in Commander if you're running that tribe. If you're running pirates, merfolk, vampires, or dinosaurs. Like, so we actually kind of like skipped a lot of the stuff that is completely commander worthy, but only worthy in those tribal decks. Because it's like, yeah, obviously, right? Yeah, obviously I'm going to run Forerunner of the Heralds if I'm running a dinosaur deck, or like the thing that reduces dinosaur cost by 2. There's a green card that does that. It's like, yeah, you're going to run that in a dinosaur commander deck. It's great. But we're not going to talk about it because it's not good for general commander. You're only running that in 1 deck. So yeah. Anyways, that's just how we broke it down and decided what to talk about. Let's move on. We're into white.
Yeah, you want to take this one?
Pride of Conquerors. This is an anthem. It's 1 and a white. It's an instant. It has Ascend, so you need the City's Blessing. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. If you have the City's Blessing, the creatures get +2/+2 instead. Pride of Conquerors, whatever. Instant anthem. These are kind of underrated in Commander. No one really runs them, but once in a while, they can be kind of worth it.
especially if it's +2/+2. It can be huge. But anyways,
Yeah, +2/+2 for 2 is very good. And if we assume we're going to get ascend all the time, then it's like, because you're in tokens, so you're going to ascend every time. That's like the cheapest, most powerful anthem that they have.
it is like, yeah. Plus, like you pay 2 mana for a +2/+2 on one creature as an instant speed combat trick. To do it on everything you have could be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next is Radiant Destiny. Again, very tribal supported. 2 and a white for an enchantment with Ascend. Again, we'll probably have it. Choose a creature type. Creatures you control get +1/+1. So, and if you have the city's blessing, they also have vigilance. We liked Always Watching, which was that one that it anthemed your creatures and gave them vigilance. But that was only non-token creatures. This works on all creatures. This is a straight upgrade to that. As long as you are tribal, because it has to be only creatures of whatever tribe you mentioned, right? That's the key.
Yeah, that's the plus. There's Always Watching. There's Radiant Destiny, and what's the one from Innistrad, the token one that gives +1/+1 in vigilance to your tokens? We've already had this.
Ooh, Ghostly Anthem. No, Ghost Buddies. Ghost Strength.
Right. That was the like.
Ethereal Muscles.
Oh, what is it? Spectral.
Spectral Anatomy. Spectral
Geist.
Marvel.
Geisty muscles.
Geisty.
Well, anyways, Geisty Muscles is a one in a white card from Innistrad that gives it out to just tokens, to all tokens you control. And I made the argument that I think that card is better because if you're going with anthems and you're going tribal with anthems, you're probably going tokens. You're probably whatever tribe that is probably tokens. So whether it's vampires, whether it's soldiers, elves, whatever it is. And white especially, you're probably going with it's probably like a soldiery type thing.
Yeah.
The thing that does it just to tokens might just be better. Might.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
interesting.
But Radiant Destiny is still pretty good. I think that I would still include it as one of the options anyways.
Yeah.
Because it just hits all of them. It'll hit your tokens, it'll hit the ones that are non. So like maybe it's definitely, I think it is just better for the. Yeah, it probably is just better for the tribal versions. Anyways, what's next? Slaughter the Strong. 1 white sorcery.
Yeah.
Each player chooses any number of creatures he or she controls with total power 4 or less, then sacrifices all other creatures he or she controls.
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's only 3 mana for a nearly board wipe.
Yeah.
So like anything with 0 power always gets to stay. That doesn't affect anything. But there's definitely board states where your opponents can't keep anything.
That's true.
Because if their things are all 5 or more power, then they don't get to keep 4 or less power. So it's very reasonable that it's just like for 3 mana, I think I'm okay running a card that says everyone keeps their worst creature or a couple of tokens. Like, it seems decent.
Yeah, there's the card that is the board wipe where everyone gets to keep one thing. I think that costs 4. But it has flashback. That card I never liked because it always lets people keep their best creature. And it's like, well, usually I want to... The whole reason I run a board wipe is to get their best creature.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm scared of.
Exactly. So I never run that card. I think it's really bad. Slaughter the Strong, though, is better than that card, I think, A, because it's cheaper, but B, because if your best creature is a 5, like you said, 5 or greater, which it often is, I think that, you can't even decide to keep it. You can't. So you have to keep some other smaller, probably less good creature. I think, this is interesting. I'd like to play with this a bit and see. I think it's going to be good, though.
I think it's, it's so cheap.
So cheap. And like, if all they have is tokens, they get to keep 1 token? Or sorry, 4 tokens? Or if they have them buffed already, they get to keep like 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Right? Wow. Yeah. I think this card's pretty good.
I mean, if you've got someone who's currently equipped with power pumping, or it's like, well, sorry, they're equipped right now.
Yeah. That's the other thing.
that card. I wish I could remember the name of that card. Divine something.
Reckoning.
Divine Reckoning.
I think it's Divine Reckoning. No, is that destroy everything that's not a token?
Divine Reckoning. You're right. That's the one.
Ooh, we pulled it out.
2 white sorcery. Each player chooses a creature he controls and destroy the rest. It has flashback for 7, which you might argue makes it okay. I would say it does not, because a bad spell is still a bad spell if you can play it twice.
Yeah, that's true.
But Slaughter the Strong, yeah, Divine Reckoning doesn't take care of Voltron creatures at all. Voltron decks, rather. Oh, great. I get to pick one thing. Oh, boo-hoo. You know what I mean? I get to keep my
Narset.
crazy huge... Exactly, my commander, my Narset. But Slaughter the Strong doesn't let that happen if they're suited up. So, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
I think it's good anyways.
I would love to try it. If I open one, I don't think I'm going to put one in a deck on purpose, but if I open one, I'm going to throw it in a deck, see
like,
how
what's
it
worst
works.
case scenario? They get to keep two good utility creatures that are each 2 power.
It sacrifices them too, right? That's not nothing.
No, it's not. Like, yeah, Avacins are gone. Like, yeah, I think this card's pretty good, actually. All right. What do we got here? Oh, we're moving on to blue.
That's it for white.
Yeah.
Let's move on to blue. Blue gave us 3 and a blue for a flash 2/2 called Crafty Cut Purse. Human Pirate. Very interesting ability. So you flash this creature in. When Crafty Cut Purse enters the battlefield, each token that would be created under an opponent's control this turn is created under your control instead.
It is interesting because this can range from, obviously you're not going to do it for a 1/1 or something. But I'd say, like, you can range from getting what's that big worm that when it comes in it makes another big worm?
Ooh.
Like Armada worm?
I can't remember, but yeah. And then, like, I think Angry Omnath,
Yep.
like if you've got an Angry Omnath in your meta, I think this is very meta dependent, right? You know in your meta if this is an amazing card or not.
And I think you almost never really want to do this to get one thing, like one big token, unless it's like what's it called, the Desolation guy, the Eldrazi one, where it's like a 10/10. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. But this is even better if you're playing against something like I can just see. Can you imagine like having facing what's his name, Darian?
King of Keldor.
You swing into an attack against the Darien player. You get all of a sudden on the stack is his trigger to make like 50 tokens, or not that many. That's a lot, but like 10 or 15 or even 20 tokens or something. Because he doesn't block. He just goes okay, and then you flash in Crafty Cut Purse, and you get them all, and he actually just loses the life now because his, I don't know, whatever he had set up isn't going to work the way he thought it was. That's interesting. That's kind of a Christmas landy thing, but I think Cut Purse is something that you're going to see pop up in decks. So token players, be aware.
Yeah.
After this, we have Flood of Recollection. This is an interesting one. 2 blue, like blue, 4 sorcery that says return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Flood of Recollection. It's a pretty small effect, but in the decks that would want it, like your Epic Experiments and things like that, this card is great because mostly I think these kinds of cards that get an instant or sorcery or something back are going to cost you 4 mana, 5.
Yeah, they're often attached to like small creatures or something, so there is benefit there, but this is the cheapest way we can achieve this effect that is not restricted to instant or sorcery, like one or the other. Like, there's some cards that like return a sorcery. It's like, I don't want to only return a sorcery, man. Give me the choice. This is the most flexible, cheapest card of its type that they've ever printed. That's why we're bringing it up.
I think it's pretty decent for those decks. What's next?
Induce Amnesia. I don't understand this card. 2 and a blue for an enchantment. It's is it Memory Jar, I think? When it enters the battlefield, target player exiles all cards from his or her hand face down, then draws that many cards. Cool. When Induce Amnesia is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return the exiled cards to their owner's hand. It's not easy to destroy enchantments on a whim. We often put enchantment destruction in our deck to just have like way to deal with annoying opponent enchantments, but like I don't know Memory Jar that well. I don't know how to abuse it.
It's not Memory Jar. Memory Jar is a draw 7, and you can sack it on it. Like, it has the ability to sacrifice itself on itself. But
sure.
you're right in that.
I guess it reminds.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought when I saw this card. I was like, oh, is this kind of like Memory Jar? It's like, oh, No, Memory Jar is like a broken artifact that's like so good. It's in every cube and like, yeah, it's a draw 7. Draw 7s are very powerful. Induced Amnesia is not that. You play this spell, so you're down a card. You exile all the cards, so you exile whatever the 4 or 5 other cards from your hand face down. Then you draw 4 or 5 cards, and then if you can get rid of it, you can return the exiled ones to your hand. So like the bonus is that you don't, like these ones in your hand that you drew from Induced Amnesia, they don't go away when Induced Amnesia dies, right? You don't have to exile those again or something like that. So it can be crazy good card draw. Well, crazy good. It can be like a draw 5, draw 6, draw 6, I guess, depending on what you're doing. But you have to be able to get rid of an enchantment, which is not easy. There's not a lot of things out there that are like sacrifice a permanent, sacrifice an enchantment. Like you need to have those things. Anyways,
yeah,
probably not worth talking about it that much. It's just okay.
Yeah.
What else? Oh yeah, okay. We're gonna skip a couple here. This one was just released to the wind. It's just like what? Exile something, and as long as it's exiled, the owner can cast it. It's like what even is that? But let's get right down. Let's jump right down to Time Stream Navigator. 1 and a blue. It's a mythic one. It's a 1/1 human pirate wizard. It has Ascend, so you can you're gonna need to get those permanents out there. It has the ability of 2 blue, tap, put Time Stream Navigator on the bottom of its owner's library, take an extra turn after this one, activate this ability only if you have the city's blessing. So
yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't there a card that lets you draw all your whole deck except for one card? And so then you can just keep putting Time Stream onto the bottom of your deck, which is only 1, and then it just keep drawing it and keep doing it.
Well, you need to give it haste, right, to do that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Then you would die.
But if you can, that's a pretty crazy.
No, you just do it in out of sync, right? So I have an extra turn lined up. He's got Summoning Sickness.
Yeah, you're right. On your next upkeep.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
On my next turn, I like give myself a further turn, but then right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Omniscience?
Time Stream Navigator.
No, that's
no. It's Enter the Infinite.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, Enter the Infinite. That's probably the one you're thinking of. If you're casting Enter the Infinite, you probably don't need Time Stream Navigator to give you like 4 or 5
probably
other
true.
turns to win. Like you probably have the thing you need when you cast Enter the Infinite. But Time Stream Navigator, it's always interesting when there's an extra turn card for commander to mess with. This one seems a bit more abusable because it doesn't exile itself like a lot of them do these days. So obviously our commander brains are whirring with the thoughts of how to get this, from the bottom of our library back onto our hand and all this kind of stuff. So it's cool. It's neat. I like it when they leave the door, leave the door open a crack to try and abuse an extra time thing or an extra turn thing.
And that's all we want to do. We want to break it.
Yeah, and make it hard to break it. I think that's very fair, especially when we're talking about extra turns. Don't make it so easy that I can just take infinite extra turns. That sucks. Make me work hard for it, and then if I get it, it's like, guys, look, I assembled this 9-piece combo, including Time Stream Navigator, and now I get to take infinite turns. Like that, okay. You did it. You got your 9-piece combo. I think that is worthy of winning. So great.
Yeah.
Cool. That's blue.
Cool. Blue's out.
Before we're zooming through here, but what do we think of these colors just as a brief overview? So quickly, what did you think of white in general?
White's all right. There's nothing I'm so excited about. I don't have travel decks, and Slaughter the Strong, interesting, but I think I'll probably stick with regular rats anyway. Okay. Nothing I'm dying to get in white.
And what about blue? I feel the same way with white, by the way.
Yeah, blue. My favorite card might be that sorcery that gets back instants or sorceries for cheap. That might be my favorite card out of here.
I like the inclusion of Crafty Cutpurse. It's just a card it's a type of card we haven't seen before. I think that's I love it when they do that. So I'm into that. Who knows how good it is, but great. Okay, so let's move on to black. the black cards we got coming up here. First is we have Champion of Dusk, but that's just very good for vampires. We're not really going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Dead Man's Chest. It's 1 and a black for an enchantment. It's an aura, enchanted creature an opponent controls specifically. And it says, when an enchanted creature dies, exile cards equal to its power from the top of its owner's library. You may cast non-land cards from among them for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast those spells. So when I first saw this card, I was like, whatever. I'm thinking of like, I put this on a 5/5 or something, and then, later in the game it dies, or at some point I kill it, or I have a plan to kill it right away, and whatever. Get a couple cards. Pretty good, I think, maybe, right? The key thing is, though, this says cast, so you're not going to get any lands off of this card. You are only going to get the spells. But then I thought of Butler's Phoenix deck, and he often, it's very easily for him to get like a White of Precinct 6 or like a Consuming Aberration that's just so huge, and I can't help, and we've lost to this deck so many times, Sean and I both,
so many times. This deck is a monster
deck. It like Butler originally made that deck to be a reanimator deck, right? To reanimate from other people's graveyards. But Phoenix is so good with those creatures that get bigger as graveyards get bigger that it's just a mill deck now. It just does mill out 4 or 5, like 3 or 4 commander players, which is something to be said, right? Like, that's impressive. And we played a game recently where like I knew, like, we're playing Secret Partners. So I didn't know he might have been my partner. But I was like, I know the only way that this guy is going to win is if Phoenix is out. So you just have to keep attacking his, keeping his Phoenix off the board. Anyways, I thought it would be such sweet justice, sweet revenge. If you cast a Dead Man's Chest on his giant Consuming Aberration, kill it, and then it's to exile like 80 cards, and you get him by milling, essentially, instead of him getting you from it. So good. That's so and good. I mean, listen, I'm in dream world over here with that, but like, I think the average case scenario is that you'll get 5 or 6 cards off of this.
Yeah, it's very interesting, but if your opponent has any sack outlet, you just can't run enchantments that target your opponent's creatures because it'll never stick.
Correct. Yeah.
It is so risky, but it's very fun and to go to Magical Christmas.
This is a fun card, and I think like it's worth talking about fun cards that aren't necessarily always so spiky good. Like this card is so fun in a deck where the whole theme is I cast my opponent's spells, right? Like Villainous Wealth.
Yeah.
Like Dead Man's Chest can be like a way cheaper Villainous Wealth, right?
And I think like if you run any kind of decks that like reliably get something like a Vidalcan Orrery down, if you can flash this in, it's like, everything's gonna die. What's your biggest creature? 15/15. Okay, in response, I'll flash Dead Man's Chest on your 15/15. Thank you.
I think it's a fun card, and I
want to play. I want to do it
exactly, and I want to put it in. I want to put it in a deck like a Villainous Wealth deck, where my whole thing is I'm trying to cast my opponent's spells. I think that's really fun. Next, what's up next?
This is interesting. I think just want to bring this up because of the way it works. Mastermind's Acquisition, 2 black for a tutor. But you get to also do this. Choose a card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand. Now, we have a 4-mana tutor.
Yeah.
Is it Diabolic or Demonic? I always mix the two up. Diabolic, thank you, Andy. But like in Commander, we don't get to say that. We don't get to say card we own from outside the game. Officially, there are no cards outside the game in
that's
Commander.
Not true. The official rules in Commander are if a thing refers to a card from outside the game, it just refers to any card you bring with your deck that you want to bring.
I thought that wasn't true. I thought that's just a house rule. I thought because officially like in this
you know what? I think you're right because you know what? Actually, I am mistaken. That is the popular house rule. Right. Yeah, you're right.
So you're gonna have in your little deck box, you're gonna have all your fancy combo cards that go.
But I think that's great.
And I think it's cool, man. And I would encourage you to play it that way. Because just let you bring in whatever you want.
Because the official rule for these cards in like modern Magic, I don't know whatever it was back, when the first one was printed, but it refers to your sideboard, right? You can get any card,
Right, and we don't have
You can get any
sideboards.
card out of your sideboard. That's why you're completely right and I'm wrong. But the popular house rule for Commander is that you bring a couple cards because you have a card like this that refers to cards from outside your hand. Bring something crazy, like bring a super nuts Eldrazi, like do whatever you want. I think that this card is, I think it's going to kind of normalize that in Commander a little bit. I think it might like make them change the rule. Maybe I don't know if it's going to make them. It might not, because I mean we're the only ones really stoked about a 4-mana tutor. Everybody else in Commander seems to think it's complete garbage, which, hey, maybe they're right. But you know what? I like it. I like a card that just takes an existing one and goes, well, now it's got one extra little ability because that card wasn't even that popular to begin with. So Mastermind's Acquisition in Commander, you have to find your house rule crew who's okay with it. Because if you did take this into like a GP and played at like pods, like it is just another demonic or diabolic tutor. Yeah. But I think it's fun. Have a couple of like weird little cards that are like, I wouldn't include this in my deck only for a very specific situation. Like get 10 of those, bring them with,
Andy, you froze.
With your deck from Mastermind's Acquisition. All right. What's up next?
Next, we got Pitiless Plunderer. This is I want to talk about this just because there's here's what it is. First, 3 in a black, 1/4 human pirate. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap, add a mana. Now we've also got Pawn of Ulamog, which creates little Eldrazi scions. We've got the other one that creates Eldrazi spawns. So we're almost at a point where when a creature dies, you get so much stuff from it. So just pointing that out because like there's the potential to like really go bonkers with this.
And again, it doesn't say non-token.
It doesn't say non-token. This is excellent Wrath insurance in the sense that you'll get a head start rebuilding your board after a Wrath with all those treasure tokens.
This is going straight in my Breya Hellkite Tyrant deck, right?
Oh,
is
baby.
It ever? Yep. Of course it is. This is exactly a card that like I now love that deck. It's so fun because it really is based all around the alternate win con. So like it's not a regular Breya deck, which I like that a lot. So this card is going in quick time.
Cool.
What next is Twilight Prophet. This one is interesting. This is a mythic. This is 2 and 2 black for a 2/4 with flying and ascend. So it cares about the city's blessing here. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have the city's blessing, reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. Each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is that card's converted mana cost. Are you kidding me?
It's reverse Bob.
It's super reverse Bob, especially for Commander. it's like way more than it's way more than reverse Bob because you also gain the life. Like they could have made it that it just hits opponents, or target opponent even, like, and it would have been still like, whoa, this is so crazy. But this is great.
This is a great card for Commander, and I think Ascend is going to be real easy.
It's right now it's at $7. I'm worried, man. I'm worried because this is a 4 mana. I'm worried this is going to catch on in other formats, and I don't want it to. This is so good for Commander.
Well, if you're worried, grab one now from the Wizards Tower, wizardtower.com.
That's right. Use our coupon code. January, it's still Brew year. I just used it. I just made an order. I'm about to sneeze.
Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed. We'll have to start thinking of that February coupon code pretty soon and let everybody know about it. Twilight Prophet. I think this card is unreal. This card's great. It's a better, well, maybe not. No, it's better. Blood Drinker Demon guy. What's his name? Blood Gift Demon.
Yeah. I know the one.
I mean, this is a mythic, so it's going to cost more. It just has that mythic tax. So
yeah. I'll plan on opening them.
I plan on opening like 6 or 7 of these. This card's amazing. This card is like, you got to have this one. This is a great card.
Cool.
Unreal.
This one's kind of nutty too. It's attention getting. Vona's Hunger, 2 and a black, instant ascent. It's instant, by the way. That's a key part of it. If you have 10 or more permanents, which again we probably will have, Each opponent sacrifices a creature. If you have the City's Blessing, instead, each opponent sacrifices half the creature he or she controls, rounded up. Woof.
Yeah. Yeah,
Woof.
that's a
3 mana
beating
instant
sometimes,
speed,
yeah.
sack half your board. Can you imagine doing this in response to a big attack? It's like, I attack with a bunch of things. Like, okay, cool. Sack half of them. It's like, do you sack the half that are attacking me or the half that aren't attacking me so that the attack goes
Wow,
through?
yeah. Interesting card. Yeah, interesting card.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, now we're under red. That's black. So what do you think of black?
I think black has some very exciting cards in it. Except for Twilight Prophet, there's probably nothing I'm like super jazzed for. I mean, again, every deck has like you can find a deck for every card you want, but like so far, I think there's one like card that pops.
Yeah, so far I think black is my favorite of the 3 we've seen so far.
Yeah, maybe I do like blue, but yeah, I think if I have to be like non-emotionally biased about it, probably black so far my
Yeah.
favorite.
Let's get into red though. Starting with Blood Sun.
Blood
We've had
Sun.
Blood Moon, now we have Blood Sun. Well, let's see if it's
About
is it going to
time.
be as good. Blood Sun is 2 and a red for an enchantment. When Blood Sun enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Okay, it replaces itself. That's decent. All lands lose all abilities except mana abilities. I think that's very good. This is a very obviously like Blood Moon is a modern playable card. It's very good. It's like it hoses decks. It's great.
Oh yeah, so many decks.
You know, and if you're running a lot of basics in your mono red, it's obviously a very good commander card too. However, it has that thing of like I've had Blood Moon played against me in Commander, and it just completely stops you from playing the game, which is a feel bad moment. In Commander's a casual format, so you know, let's call up Josh Lee Kwai right now and ask him what he thinks of Blood Moon. You know what I mean? He hates that card, right? And it's not only because it stops him from doing his crazy shenanigans with 5 colors, but it totally turns you off from doing anything for the rest of the game, essentially. This I like a lot more because it's the equivalent. Like it's what you want to do with mass land destruction in terms of stopping the extra abilities that can be very powerful because they're on lands, without the feel bad of like stopping people from playing Magic, which I think is fair and good. Do you see yourself running this card?
I don't know. It's so
Because
fascinating.
it's all land. That's the other thing. So it does affect you too. It's not like you get out of this.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Like, I think I would hate to lose Homeward Path. Like, that card is so essential in our meta. There's so many people stealing your stuff back home. Like, so I would hate to not be able to do that. I do know that it also, like, it makes all lands come into play untapped. Right? So lands that say comes into play tapped that won't work
I didn't even think of
anymore.
that.
And if it wants to bounce a land, it won't bounce a land anymore either. So those like Karoo lands, you just get to throw them down untapped, taps for 2. That's pretty awesome.
That is very cool. And same, I guess. I mean, shock land, same thing. They don't hurt you. Any
thing.
of those lands,
fetch lands do not work.
This is nuts,
right? So you cannot use fetch lands
don't
anymore.
Do anything. Oh.
And you can't, like Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic, you don't get to crack those for anything anymore. So I mean, there's pros and cons, and I'm not of the mindset to build around in the sense of build my mana base around for an effect.
No, yeah.
It's like I'm not gonna mess around with so I kind of don't see myself running this very much.
Yeah, I mean, put aside the fact that it's already like it's $8-9. That's what it's pre-selling for, and I think you mentioning that seems like it's very like I feel like you can build a modern deck that just really abuses this, right? Like,
well, abuses it, but also like punishes other modern decks that run nothing but fetches.
Right?
Like I mean, against Death Shadow wants to spend life to crack fetches. They want to spend life to have untapped, right? Shocklands is like they don't get to do that anymore. They don't get to fetch, and if they get a shock, they don't get to lose life. So it's like, I mean, that's gonna
and
be
all
strong.
is it lantern decks that like have the like you said have the bounce lands come in untapped so they can tap the turn they come in. Like they don't even need to bounce. Like it's like they were running like those cards that let you play extra lands because you'd play a bounce land, you bounce when you play it back, but they all get to be untapped. That's the strength there. But like Blood Sun does that just by itself. You know, you don't need the lantern and the extra land thing because they don't bounce. Like
Interesting.
I don't think this is for our format, but it's a very interesting card.
It is a very interesting card. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Wow. Okay. There's a lot of possibilities. That's how you know these like I can't stop thinking of all the crazy lands that have downsides when you bring them in. Like you must sacrifice 3 lands because it taps for 4. Like there's a land that does that, right? Like when it comes into play, you have to do this. When it comes like now it doesn't have to do that. Now it just taps for 4 or whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
wow, okay. Anyways, whew. What about cards that tap and hurt you? Does that?
If it's a mana ability,
So
it will
still do
hurt
that.
you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, Blood Sun looks like it's definitely playable in Commander. It's just that you might have to adjust some things with your mana base if it happens. Otherwise, I still think it's probably going to be pretty good. Next.
Ooh, Dire Fleet Daredevil. It's not quite red Snapcaster Mage. 1 in a red for a first strike 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, exile target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. You may cast that card this turn, and you may spend mana or mana of any type to cast that spell. And then you got to exile it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, red is expanding its ability to do stuff. So very cool, red. Way to go.
Yeah. You're right. Not quite Snapcaster Mage. It would need Flash to really make that. If it had Flash, I think you might be able to run it in certain circumstances.
Oh goodness, I think just if it had Flash, it would just be too powerful as a 2/1 first strike for 2 in modern formats in general.
True.
But I think red this is a way for red to get effects of outside its color pile. Like if someone has already played a Cultivate, cool, I'll drop a Dire Fleet Daredevil, and then I'll cast your Cultivate. Sure. It's like cool.
Yeah, decent. Next we have Form of the Dinosaur.
It's
weird. Man. Of course, there's the old card, right? Form of Dragon, Form of the Dragon.
Yeah.
There it is. Form of the Dragon is okay. I just want to read Form of the Dragon first, so we all get a little bit of context. 4 red, so 7 mana. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, Form of the Dragon deals 5 damage to target creature or player. At the end of each turn, your life total becomes 5. Creatures without flying can't attack you. So the idea is that you turn into a dragon, right?
Right.
Form of the Dinosaur is a little bit like less, like your life total is not just 5. Form of the Dinosaur is 4 red, so it's 6, so it's a bit less. It's an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, your life total becomes 15. So like right away, that's pretty bad for Commander. We're dropping our life total down by quite a bit. At the beginning of your upkeep, Form of the Dinosaur deals 15 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and that creature deals damage equal to its power to you. So like you are fighting creatures, but it doesn't have that thing of it like re-upping your like it should, right? It should reset your life to 15 every time. Or whatever it is.
Well, no, I think that's the drawback of this, because if you think about it from a standard point of view, getting 15 life back, that's like gaining 10
I just mean
or more
flavor
life.
wise, like because if I'm a dinosaur, if I'm a creature in Magic, at the end of my turn, I heal up, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe they could have made it like 6 life or 10 or something, like
flavor.
I don't know.
Fail.
It is a bit of a flavor fail. I don't think this card is really runnable in Commander. Unless you really went hard on the dinosaur theme and you're like, I love dinosaurs so much. I'm a dinosaur. I get to fight you myself,
Yes.
It does have the upside though is that just as opposed to Form of the Dragon is that you can gain life, get your life back up, right? You can't really do that with the dragon one. But anyways.
Right.
But I like that they sort of reference this old card and the close relationship between dragons and dinosaurs. Okay. What's next? Oh, okay. This one. This is great. So, guys, this is the only reason this card is being featured in the show right now. It's what is it? It's a red card. It's 2 in a red. It's an instant that says deal 1 damage to each creature without flying. Draw a card, and the name of the card is. Yeah. It's Shake the Foundations, which if you're an AC/DC fan, is the name of a song from the popular AC/DC album Fly on the Wall. So, yeah, it's not really a playable Commander card, and Sean can't hear what I'm doing right now, but certainly the listeners can, so you know, if you got the Enraged Dinosaur deck, you're going to want to play. Great. Okay. That's that joke.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Back to real cards.
Tillinolli's
Silver-
Summoner, right?
Oh, yeah. Tillinolli's Summoner, thank you. This is 1 in a red, Human Shaman with Ascend, City's Blessing, 10 permanents. 1/1. Whenever Tillinolli's Summoner attacks, you may pay X in red. If you do, create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. At the beginning of your next end step, exile those tokens unless you have the City's Blessing. So Tillinolli's Summoner, without help, will die after that attack. They're going to block it for sure. But if you do not have the City's Blessing yet, I bet you making these tokens will get you to City's Blessing before Tillinolli dies. So those tokens ain't going anywhere.
Right. It's if you can get this to have some kind of evasion, or if you can make this big enough that's not going to die, like, this card can be a real monster. And I like it the most in an Angry Omnath deck where you just make so many little elementals, and then when they die, they deal 3 damage. Like, it's so good.
But even if you don't you don't have to give it any kind of evasion, because it's just like, I would play cards that just generate a ton of tokens tapped and attacking. Like element, that's fine, and they're not going to go away because I'm gonna have the blessing for sure.
It would just be nice to have it stick around, you know.
Oh, it would be lovely.
So
but
nice.
I'm saying, like, at its floor, this card, I mean, besides finding it on the ground and not knowing what magic is,
turning
right?
this thing and go, who's Tillinolli?
I mean, I like this hat, though. Maybe I'm going to start wearing
What are
hats
these
like
numbers
this.
on the bottom right corner? Can
you imagine
Louis
someone-
Lananito?
Someone finds this card on the ground and decides to start wearing hats
Yeah,
like
that's
this.
a big impact. That's a big impact on someone's life. That's a bigger impact than most things that they could pull from a Magic card. I'm gonna start wearing winged hats like this.
How was your day today? My life has changed. I saw a picture that spoke to my soul, and I'm going to start wearing hats.
Birds, right?
Oh,
I know
those lame creatures.
Hats, right? Well, I'm thinking
Yes.
bird hats. Just look at this piece of cardboard I found earlier today.
Yes.
Tilda Summoner. It's a cool little card for sure. And if you can reanimate it or bring it back, like, this is you know what? This is a very cool card for Alesha decks. Right? She's a 1/1 in the graveyard. You bring her back all the time, right? Like, with Alesha, man, that's a powerful ability to keep bringing back.
Now, but wait, does Alesha bring them back tapped and attacking?
Oh, I don't know. Does she?
Because I think so. You don't get to do this
No,
ability
you're right.
then.
You're right. I thought it just brought it back tapped, but if it is also attacking, that's not as good.
Because Alesha gets activated on attacks, and then you just pop it into the battlefield attacking.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep, tapped and attacking. Boo. Oh well. Okay.
Well.
After that, we're on to green. Okay.
How you like red?
I think red looks cool, man. I think Blood Sun is very interesting. I think even Direfleet Daredevil is kind of cool. And obviously we would be, like, sort of wrong to go ahead and not mention. Cool. You got to mention Shake the Foundations. Yeah, I think red's pretty good. I think I like black a little bit better, but I am actually generally, whole set wise, I am actually quite impressed with red and its commander abilities, because usually red is the worst for commander, but this is great.
Yeah,
I'm happy to see red come up in commander. Let's move on to green. Cherish Hatchling is a great card for the dinosaur decks, but so we're not going to go too deep into it. But again, like, this, I did want to actually just sort of glaze over it, simply because this set really gives a lot to the commander dinosaur deck, a lot, and it does make it. I really do think it makes it a full on commander deck. So yeah, there's Enrage is huge. Enrage is actually gives us a lot of good stuff. And actually, sorry, what's that card again? The one that you play it. It's 2 in a red. It's
Andy, I love how you started to say the name of the card and then pretended you forgot the name of the other. Oh, don't forget about Shake. I mean,
wait, what's it called again? Right? So that card is actually playable in this new Commander Dinosaur deck. So I think it's really good. So anyways, it really brings a lot. So the set is actually good for that. But anyways, let's get to the next real red card, or sorry, green card we want to talk about, which is Enter the Unknown. Well, actually, do we have to talk about Enter the Unknown?
It's just fun flavor because it thinks of, but it's not that good, interesting.
Really.
Yeah,
it's kind of like worse Explore, but it's just, you're right, the flavor is there because it's like the card Explore, but it has the ability Explore, right?
But Path of Discovery is interesting. Here we go. It's an enchantment for 3 and a green. So presuming you're a creature heavy deck, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control. Now that is enters. It doesn't have to be cast. So token generators can trigger this many times. Reveal the top card of your library. So each creature explores. And so let's imagine we stack like 10 Explore triggers on our deck. First thing we're going to do is suck off any lands that we got on top, right? They're going right to our hands. And as soon as we find a non-land card, we have the option of either leaving it on top and just getting the rest of these triggers +1/+1 encounters every time, because it's never leaving the top, or just firing it away, maybe getting a couple more lands. It's amazing.
Right.
Fill up your graveyard if you want that. If you want, it's not a May ability, but we don't have to go any deeper than the first non-land card, so there's really no danger. So it's sort of like, I don't know. I think it's excellent. If you've got a token deck, I think you ought to run this card just for what it does.
Counters, right? Just counters and jet +1/+1 decks. If it's like, if you care about just getting that first +1/+1 counter on it, Path of Discovery can be pretty good. It's good for getting the lands. Like, yeah, I think this is interesting. Is there a token +1/+1 graveyard deck? Right? If so, is there a better card than Path of Discovery?
So Path of Discovery makes me want to do Borborygmos tokens so that I can just put so many lands into my hand and just lightning bolt them at people.
Yeah. That's an interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Borborygmos tokens.
Ooh, and then
you can do that for sure.
Well, and then can we jump to the last green card?
I actually cannot because I can no longer see the tabs, so I can't go back and forth.
Okay. I've been anyway, we'll come back to it, but there's another card that lets you put all land cards from your graveyard back onto the battlefield. So you Borborygmos all those lands in, bow, and then sack that creature, all lands come back.
Yeah, I think I don't think Explore is that good for Commander, period, but I think when you have something that puts it on every creature you have, now it starts to be worth talking about. Now we're like, how can we really abuse this? How can we use this in Commander? And I think there are definitely decks that will want this card. Like we said, we're not going too deep into the tribal stuff just because it's like there really is only one deck for a lot of it. But Polyraptor is an interesting card. 6 and 2 green for a 5/5 dino. It has Enrage. And whenever Polyraptor is dealt damage, you create a token that's a copy of Polyraptor. I think this is good enough to put in token decks. I think this is a card that, it's going to dissuade attacks against you. It's also going to either get through when you want to, / just maybe if you have other ways to hit it now and again, you can just create tokens. And whenever those tokens get hit, they create tokens. And it's like, it's this exponential growth that I think is becomes a crazy card in the, again, Commander Dinosaur deck. But I think it is kind of worthy of I would probably include this in a Tristani deck. I think it might be worth it. I would at least experiment with it and see how often I'm able to make the Polyraptor token, right? Because once you can, then you can populate and obviously Anyways, so I think it might be worth looking at. Even as think about it though, even as a chump blocker, this thing just chump blocks anything and just makes another one of itself, right? It's pretty solid. True.
And the tokens also have that ability, if we haven't said so explicitly.
Yeah. Anyways, what's next? I think this card's good.
I do too. Tender Shoot Dryad sounds excellent. I like it. 4 and a green for a 2/2 Dryad. So that's very expensive for a 2/2. But it has Ascend, City's Blessing, Gonna have it in Commander, very easy. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token. Each upkeep, I want to point out.
Yes.
So like every turn around the
Yep.
table, assuming 4 players, that's 4 1/1 green sapperlings. But Tender Street Dryad says sapperlings you control get +2/+2 as long as you have a City's Blessing, again, which we're always going to have. So getting extra sapperlings is not dependent on the City's Blessing. You get that no matter what. And that's if you don't have it at that point, you're going to have it in no time. And then once you do, you're churning out 3/3 sapperlings every upkeep. They must deal with this card. They must. I love cards that say you must deal with this.
This was a monster again in a lot of those pre-release streams I saw, the LRR thing.
No doubt.
Whenever I saw this card, it took over the game completely, and that's a 1v1 game. It completely took it over. In Commander, I think this is like, obviously if you're running anything that has sapperling tokens, this is a must. This is an auto include. You're going to have the City's Blessing with very little effort because you're a token deck, and each upkeep it makes a 3/3. Like that's that's pretty good, man. That's really good. So I think
if you just want to go wide, this is like after that initial investment, it's free. You're freely widening your board.
It's an anthem for, again, if you're in the deck that makes sapperlings. But this is also just good in any token deck that wants 1/1s. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be a sapperling themed deck for this card to be good. This is. Yeah. I think this might be my maybe, I don't know. This might be my favorite non-commander card in the set. Like a non-legendary creature. I mean, maybe. Yeah. I'd have to really think about it, but so far I'm like, I see this card, I'm like, oh man, I want to make a deck that uses this card. It's great. Yeah. Okay, and so Wayward Sawtooth I just want to mention very briefly because it's another dinosaur with that we talked about. But this one allows you to play an additional land on each of your turns, which I think it's always interesting and always something to note when there's a card that like changes a fundamental rule of the game, So now we can play 2 lands. Like that's been traditionally a very good ability to have in Commander. Obviously you need to support it with good card draw, but this one's going to ramp you out. It's going to help you get a send. He has the Wayward Sawtooth also has a send. It's a 5/5 for 3, and it says you can't attack or block unless you have the City's Blessing. But like that kind of stuff is like that's kind of like whatever. Really, the ability to let you play extra lands is like worth noting. So there is a card in the set that does that. So keep an eye out for that. But let's get to the one that Sean wanted to talk about here. You can read it.
Ooh, World Shaper. This is what I mentioned before with that weird Borborygmos thing, which might be Magical Christmas Land. But I think 3 and a green. See, they're giving us this ability more. This ability has shown up on a sorcery and now on a creature. 3 and a green, Merfolk Shaman 3/3. Whenever World Shaper attacks, you may put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. That's always a plus in our format. When World Shaper dies, put all land cards from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. That is like a sneaky way. Requires graveyard manipulation, but that's like these. And Splendid Reclamation is the sorcery I'm thinking of. This is a sneaky way to do major ramp, and you're not paying much mana for it, but you must pay some setup for it. But like any card that can probably put 5 or more lands on the battlefield is worth our attention.
Yeah, absolutely. This is landfall decks. Anything that cares about landfall, anything that works with graveyard. Like, I think this is a fantastic card with Marin. Like just as a ramp engine. Forget about anything else you want to do, which it can also do way more than that. Any of those decks that deal with recurring lands, obviously, Gitrog, like this card goes in a lot of decks, and I think the fact that they put it on a creature actually makes it more accessible for Commander players to break and sack and reanimate or whatever, right? So yeah, man, World Shaper, I think you're going to see this pop up in a lot of those decks. I think you want to be able to sacrifice it. It's probably going to be able to die just from a board wipe or whatever, so just make sure you've got it. But like, man, I think this card's pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's at its best in a graveyard style deck. Something that's milling or putting cards in your graveyard, that's where it's going to be best, obviously.
Like Sidisi. Sidisi's best buddy.
Yep. Green.
Okay. That's it for green, and that's it for the color.
That's it for the colors. I liked green a lot. But I just love green, and green's my favorite. But I love World Shaper. I really do. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Green and black, I think, ended up being my favorites here.
Interesting, Golgari. So far, yeah, you know what? I have to say, overall, none of the colors are like blowing my mind here. But every color has a couple of cards that are making me think, and I'm just like, ooh, I like these cards. And so we haven't seen a lot of cards that are just straight power staples necessarily, but all ones that are like, ooh, I want to brew around it, or I've got just the deck for it, which I think is a real strength of cards, where it's like you just can't, they just can't print the most powerful staples. That just breaks the game. But they can be like, well, this is very powerful in this kind of deck. So all the people who have those kind of decks get to like rejoice and be like, yes, this is the perfect tool. That's what I love. I love thinking like, ooh, that goes in this deck, that goes in this deck, and that goes in this deck.
Yeah, it's a great support set, it seems like Sheldon Menery tweeted something about how he thought this was like the best set for Commander. It's like, I don't know about that. I think there have been way better sets for Commander than this. But you're right. There's a little something here for, I think, some specific decks, which I think is nice to have once in a while. Not everything needs to be, breaking the format every single time, right? And I think that keeps it healthy. We're almost done here. We're on the home stretch. Let's get a couple of these multis done, and then we'll hit the Planeswalkers.
I forgot to put these in the tabs.
Oh, you did? Okay, no worries.
Yeah, but we got a couple of multi creatures that give they're like lords. They give +1/+1 to vampires and merfolk.
Oh, okay. So yeah, okay. So these are very straightforward.
So whatever.
You got Legion Lieutenant. You got Merfolk Mistbinder. They each are just Anthem creatures for their own type. So yeah, vampire to merfolk. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I mean, is it worth talking about? We got Protean Raider, which is 1 blue-red, and it's got Raid. So if you attack with a creature, you get to cast. It can enter the battlefield as a copy of anything. So it's like a cheaper clone. I mean, I think I'd rather have a 4-mana clone and have no restriction on when I can.
Yeah, because like, how often are you going to how often do you need it to be 3 mana, right?
And then it has to be post-combat phase, which is like, sometimes I want to clone a haste creature.
Yeah.
Okay, I changed my mind. Not good.
Okay, done. We're done with the other multi-cards.
There weren't too many.
So I guess let's talk about the Planeswalkers, the big flashy cards that, are they even that good in Commander? We'll see.
Well, I think again, they're like so I'll just preface this by saying there's 2 that we can open up in packs, and there's 2 that come from those Planeswalker decks. I have been under the hypothesis that they make the Commander deck, they make the ones that are better for Commander in the Planeswalker decks. But we'll see. And as always, we can't evaluate these on their ultimates because, of course, ultimates are going to be amazing. And
there's one here that actually I don't think it's outside. I don't think it's wrong to really count the ultimate.
Okay.
And that one is Huatli Radiant Champion. 2 green, white, and it's because they've put an ability on this Planeswalker that we haven't really seen yet, and that is the first one. So Huatli, again, 2 green, white. It's a 4-mana, 3 loyalty Planeswalker for +1. So we'll add a counter. We'll make her 4. Put a loyalty counter on Huatli Radiant Champion for each creature you control. So this is a loyalty ability that the whole thing is that it just adds more loyalty. I don't believe we've seen that before from a Planeswalker, like referencing kind of its own abilities, right? So, in Commander, if you put Huatli down and you've got 6, 8, whatever tokens, creatures, you play Huatli, you +1, go to 4, then add, 8 more? And now all of a sudden you've got 12, now you have 12 loyalty on Huatli, and next turn you can ultimate her. So that's why I'm like, Huatli, I think you can consider the ultimate way more than you would any other Planeswalker.
Yes,
we don't need a doubling season to at least somewhat reliably activate the ultimate.
Right.
And okay, so that's pretty good. So let's talk about the other 2 abilities. Her -1 is target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So that's pretty straightforward. Not so flashy in Commander, but can definitely be relevant. And then the -8. So like I said, if you have a lot of creatures, and it's a hefty minus for this ultimate, but it's kind of way easier to get with her than anyone else. You get an emblem with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. two things that are notable about that ultimate. Well, three things. You can get more than one emblem. So you can stack your emblems if you somehow have a great way to protect her and she can keep doing it. It's whenever a creature enters the battlefield. So it's any creature. It's not cast. It's tokens. It's anything, which is crazy.
Yep.
And it's under your control, of course. And it's a May ability. So you're not ever going to draw yourself out. So go nuts with it if you can. I think in go wide decks, I think Huatli is just very good.
I think so too. I think you nailed it with that ultimate thing. First turn, I'm going to play Huatli. I'm going to get above 8 for dang sure.
Yeah.
And then if I'm not going to attack with all my tokens, so I likely have a way to survive a counterattack if they send them at Huatli. If they board wipe in response, cool. Huatli's probably sticking around. There's a very good chance to get that emblem. And once you get that emblem down, man, the gas is on.
Crazy, right? Like, very, very good. And especially since the deck you want her in is the kind that's just spits out so many creatures at once, like little creatures. I think this is one of the best commander planeswalkers we've seen in a while. Again, for a very specific deck. Like, obviously this doesn't go in any deck, but even any green-white deck. But I think for the deck that it's designed for, I think this is like a major impact and very, very good.
And I feel like Huatli's minus ability is actually not good in that deck. Like, we usually don't have a ton of tramplers. So to give it +X is huge, but probably chunkable. So I don't know.
You're right. She's selling for like what, $8-9 now. So that's
Huatli can come in packs.
Fairly cheap pre-sale price for a planeswalker. Usually they're like way more than that. So that's not too bad.
I mean, if it's breakable.
What's next?
Next we have Angrath the Flame Chained. 3 black red for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. First time we've met Angrath. Nice to meet you, Angrath. This one is in packs too.
Nice to meet you, Sean.
Oh, thank you. He's got the +1. Each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. I think that is a very tiny effect in Commander. I don't like it in Commander. I don't think it's a good plus. I hate that. I don't want to keep doing that to get to my ultimate, whatever it might be. So I also have -3. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step if it has converted mana cost 3 or less. So we get to threaten anything we want, but we won't sack it unless it's got mana 3 or less. In Commander, we probably don't care because if we like threaten effects, we probably have sack outlets anyway. So it doesn't matter about that too much. So we get one use out of it. Is it better than a threaten? I mean, I guess, because it can make people lose things. I don't really care so far. Angrath's ultimate is -8, so it takes 5, 6, 7, 8, and then one more. It takes 5 turns to do it. Each opponent loses life equal to the number of cards in his or her graveyard. I mean, that's something.
That is something, but
I don't think it's worth the hoops going through, because I don't really care that much about Angrath's +1. So even if I had a nice wall, I don't really care to keep doing that to like just build it up like to the ultimate. If it was doing something useful to build up to the ultimate, I would consider it. As it stands, I don't think it's good in our format. So
I mean, you're still going, like, if you had Angrath, if you put Angrath in a deck and you had a way of keeping it alive, you would keep +1ing it, obviously. Like,
well, I mean, you would do that, but I just wouldn't, like, I wouldn't put it in a deck. It just seems like, because the +1 to me is effectively nothing. I mean, they're losing a card, and that's tough, and that's, it's card advantage.
Yeah. It's just
but
small.
like pretty small.
Yeah, you can get it to a point where like you're just making, like, the opponent just can't have cards in their hand, but I mean, I think that takes a little while. It takes like too long, right? Like, I'm not impressed. He doesn't, like, he only protects himself against small creatures too. Like, his -3, but then you put yourself down to -1, and then you can't, like, you're kind of hosed from that point on. Then anything gets through, he's dead. Like,
so if our hypothesis is true, then. If our hypothesis is true, then these next 2, which come in the Planeswalker decks, ought to be better for our format, because they're probably worse for Standard. So let's start with
on that.
Vraska Scheming Gorgon. Do you want to take this one?
You'll be the Angrath man today.
Angrath
so
man.
Vraska Scheming Gorgon is 4 black. One thing you'll definitely see with the Planeswalker deck ones is that they're going to be more expensive, and that's true here. So 6 mana for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker, Vraska. We talked about the legendary change, right? Yeah, we talked about that last time because they did that in Ixalan. Never mind. So +2 creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. That is basically nothing. -3 destroy target creature. Okay, all right,
Okay,
sure.
that's a thing.
For 6 mana, I'd hope to do something better than that, but okay. -10 is the ultimate here. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain Death Touch, and whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, that player loses the game.
That is an exciting statement.
Yeah. It's unfortunately for me personally, it's not one that I like. Like, I don't know. I mean, you do have to work hard to get it. It's not like you can like put this down and win. Like, obviously, you have to work pretty hard to keep Vraska alive and then be able to -10 her. So it's a ton of work. I don't think you're really ever going to encounter this very often in Commander. I don't think it's really going to happen very much.
No, it's tricky. I think we have to compare Vraska to Ob Nixilis Reignited, which is also like less than $2 right now. Which has the exact same -3 ability, destroy target creature, but Ob Nixilis is 1 cheaper to cast, and while you're cranking Ob Nixilis up, you're drawing a card and losing life, which is not negligible. And Ob Nixilis is -8, which is also cheaper, by the way. I mean, you're not getting 2, you're getting 1. But anyway, you give an opponent an emblem which says whenever a player draws a card, you lose 2 life. So
that stacks up so fast.
That will kill opponents.
I've gotten to that emblem before in Commander, and I remember thinking it wasn't that good. It's very good. It will kill the player, like, no question.
And like Vraska can kill the player that turn, but if you don't do it, Vraska has to start all over. Like those creatures don't carry that ability. It's just until end of turn. So like I do think Vraska's no go. We've got a better option.
I agree, man. I don't think it's very good.
All right then. Well,
maybe our other Angrath has something for us here. Maybe he's at least an improvement on the Flame Chained.
Yeah. Hi Angrath, what Minotaur Pirate? Welcome back.
Oh, hello, Sean. It's me, Angrath. I'm back again. Maybe I'll do better this time. I have a slightly different voice
I think
now.
You're doing great. Well, because now you're no longer Flame Chained. You're a Minotaur Pirate. You cost 4 black red, 5 loyalty, +2. Angrath Minotaur Pirate deals 1 damage to target opponent and each creature that player controls. Well, that's not really much of a thing. -3, return target pirate card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Sure.
Maybe if I'm a pirate deck. -11, destroy all creatures target opponent controls. Angrath Minotaur Pirate deals damage to that player equal to their total power. Well, that's an ultimate.
That's going to kill someone, probably. You're going to choose the person with the most, creatures, or the one that you're going to be able to kill. -11 is a lot, although he does +2, so it starts at 5. So
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is your 4th turn in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you need to be in a pirate deck for his second ability to even matter at all. And that first ability just sucks so bad. I don't think you're not excited to use it. Like, obviously you're going to use it to plus him to his ultimate, but like, I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of this one either.
Another thing here where like if I wanted to build towards a Planeswalker's ultimate, it would have to, like, the plus ability, which is the only one I would want to be using, has to do something. And this is effectively nothing. Yep. Like basically it rounds down to nothing.
No, it does. Yeah.
Like you're probably not killing any creatures. Right. If you do, if it's a token deck and you kill their whole board, great. You got lucky.
Yeah, you're lucky that they don't have anything to pump their tokens yet. Yeah.
But like 1 damage to player. So effectively, this is just pay 6 mana, basically wait 5 turns and hope to win the game. But it's not even win the game.
It's kill 1. It's target opponent.
That's right.
I don't like this guy. Sorry, Angrath. You're just not a commander planeswalker. That's all. Sorry, buddy.
Angrath.
But you know what? Huatli Radiant Champion is very good, I think, commander planeswalker for the token deck. So that's at least fun. We got at least one.
Yay,
cool.
Huatli.
Well, that is it. That is Rivals of Ixalan, the commander relevant cards as we see them. They're definitely
Thanks for sticking with
this
us.
is a long one. Over 2 hours. I mean, the set releases always tend to be a little longer, of course. Overall, I think what we said earlier is it sticks. It's that there's some there are definitely some very good commander cards in here, but most of them tend to be for like a specific deck or a couple. I think there are very few overall great commander cards in the set. Maybe like what's it called? The Golden Sun or whatever, that card. What's it called?
Oh yeah, the artifact.
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
the Immortal Sun.
Yeah.
Like that one is like maybe the best overall commander card in the set, I might say.
I think so too.
And
that's my vote.
And obviously there's a lot of the cool flippy cards, that do the lands. I think a lot of those are quite good as well. That's your bread and butter. That's your main good commander stuff there. Otherwise we're talking a lot of kind of specific stuff, which you know what? It's not bad though. It's not bad. It's nice to have those things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people. I bet you if you've got a few decks, there's a couple very exciting cards for those decks.
I agree. There's still at least like 4 or 5 cards I definitely want for probably 4 or 5 different decks. So
4 or 5 cards, 4 or 5 decks.
Not bad. I'm into it. I'll play it.
Well, gang, thank you so much for sticking through. Can't thank you enough. This has been the Ixalan set review. We're back at it next week with more deck brews. As always, if you join us on Patreon, you get to hang out in Discord and get all them perks. And do we have any special announcements to make, Andy?
Yeah, we do.
We'll just remind everyone that like our playmat is on, is like the wheels are turning. Art is made. Printer is contacted. The site is up. You can buy it. As of this
episode, you can buy the playmats, which we should have said at the beginning of the episode, which maybe I'll record a special thing and say it at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, so then I'll let you handle the details on that, which you already heard at the beginning.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to add that in because I have like one more step to do, but we'll launch it today. For sure.
I love it. So you can buy our playmat, and at the end of the month, we will make the order. We'll make the shipment and we'll print them out and get them sent on their way to your magic little hands.
It's great. Matt Strott, of course, is our guy who designed it. He did such a fantastic job. So go check him out. He's at Messy Comics, Messy with 1 S on Twitter.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we got a Brews. We still got a Brews news coming up. So
yeah.
If you're not commandered out, we got a little more for you there, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brews News. I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this week, we've got a very special movie review segment. It's Bruce and Bruce watching DVDs.
Welcome to another edition of Bruce and Bruce Watching DVDs. This week, we took an animated trip into our imaginations with the Lego Movie. All of our favorite characters working together to solve some problems, all hinged around the relatable every person as Emmett, the Lego person himself. Bruce, I think this movie was a lot of fun music, and I do think everything is awesome.
When I close my eyes, this is how I see the world. Everything strange blocks. Everywhere. I go to doctor, he say, you have a problem, Bruce.
Bruce, is it possible you might be a master builder like in the movie? Maybe we just don't understand the world the way you do.
Yes. Either that or a severe lack of oxygen because of all turkey legs eating at dinner time.
Yep. You do love eating meat, which is strange for someone who raises animals.
Yes. I raise the animals to sell and also to eat.
I'm vegan, I wouldn't understand. But I do understand that when you put this wonderful collection of cameos together in this hilarious script, it's nothing but a fun ride the whole time. Batman, Green Lantern, a wizard. There's so much great stuff in this.
What is so funny? I watch this movie, I think it is not funny. I see them build a car in 2 seconds like this. I see them build a airplane like this. I tried to build barn for 17 years. It still have wobbly roof, and the inspector will not let it pass code.
Well, then I guess maybe you are not a master builder after all.
Yes, maybe I am not.
But I do think that this is a great movie for the whole family that anyone can enjoy, whether you're young at heart or young in real life. I give it 5 stars.
I also only see faces as 2 black eyes and 1 line for mouth.
That might be why you have a real hard time reading emotions.
I give this movie 4 blank stares out of 6.
That's what I work with almost every day. Tune in next week when we will review a different DVD.
Oh, good episode, this one. This time better episode than the one before where we argue only all the time.
Did you know, Bruce, that Lego is real? That is a real thing?
What?
There is really Lego.
No, it's a movie only.
No, but the bricks are real. You can get them.
No, it's a movie. It is animated. I know this difference between real life and the movie.
I'll bring you some Lego next
Okay,
time.
well, you are a liar.
Blow your boorish mind. Thanks, Bruce and Bruce. I mean, it does kind of make me want to rewatch a couple of those.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to see a reality show where those 2 guys live in the same house, I think.
I'm pretty sure as soon as we're done filming, they don't even talk to each other.
Oh, wow. Well, anyways, we're certainly tapped out. So we will pass turn to you. Good night.
Good night.
If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.